It is 6:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The Nashville Predators defeated the Calgary Flames 3-2 in a shootout last night at Bridgestone Arena as the Preds earned 2 much-needed points. Nashville currently in possession of the first wildcard slot in the Western Conference, 2 points ahead of Dallas. Also, a record-setting night for the Predators. Matt Duchene reached goal number 40 of the season. He is the first Nashville Predator in history to have 40 goals in one campaign. NBA playoffs, Memphis defeated Minnesota 124-96. Ja Morant, 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 10 assists. And to Major League Baseball, late baseball last night on the West Coast, the Braves defeated the Dodgers 3-1. Braves had 12 hits, Dodgers just 2. Former Vandy star Walker Buehler picked up the loss for L.A. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Out of the starting blocks and ready to go on the Wednesday edition of JMart and Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons here on 104.5 The Zone. We've got our coffee. We've got a little bit of a sun coming up. And we've got you beautiful people to hang out with us. Alongside Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, our producer, making the show happen. I'm Will Bowling, sitting in for the one and only Jason Martin on IR. Great to have you with us.
My foot hurts.
My foot. Oh.
Where the only thing worse than Jason Martin slipping and hurting his foot is if he had burned it on a George Foreman grill. Good morning.
What?
In the office?
And try to keep up, Shave. Come on, 6:03.
No, you have
Show
to understand.
started 3 minutes ago.
You have to understand. I'm going to tell the story out of school here. When I worked for this company previously, there was a general manager who reminded me a lot of Michael Scott from The Office. And it made me really uncomfortable to watch The Office, so I didn't for a few years. Because it hit a little too close to home.
When that secondhand embarrassment isn't so secondhand,
Yeah.
that show gets a little bit tougher to watch.
It got a little tough.
A little iffy, Jack.
It was iffy, Jack.
It was iffy, Jack.
Ramon, how are we? Good morning.
Man, we are good. You know how it goes at the baseball park last night. It's about 10:30. Didn't get into bed close to 11, but you know what? No rest, Will.
Could be out there digging ditches right now.
I could. You know what? Let me be real with you. I called Shape to the hallway yesterday. Monday. I was like, man, we complain about getting up and we saw a guy, man, around this vicinity. Guess what he was doing, Will?
What's that?
He was breaking bricks.
Breaking bricks?
Breaking bricks, man.
He was tearing down a brick wall.
Yeah. And I was just like,
What Butch Jones did at Tennessee for like 5 years.
Only this guy had more success.
yeah, he had way more
Probably
success.
a better haircut, too.
Magnificent, okay? And all I can think to myself, I've been in similar situations, tossing hay bales and doing stuff around my granddaddy's shop, and I'm thinking to my life, like, play football for a living, you know what I'm saying? And now I'm behind the mic. That dude was literally breaking bricks. Well,
Brick by brick, baby.
brick by brick.
Come on.
I wish I would hear that thing again. Wish I would, Will. But, hey, I park life last night, kids playing ball at the park. So today is 4-2-0.
4-2-0?
For the Degenerates.
Oh, is it really?
That's a red. Wait a minute.
These are things I wouldn't have known. Things I wouldn't have known
Unless you're around some
hosted this
degenerates.
morning show.
No doubt about it, man. But you said you had an eventful night last night.
I did for a little bit, so I did not.
That's usually how it goes.
It was an eventful night. He slept on the other side of the bed for a change.
I slept on the couch the other night, but last night that's a different story.
Okay,
we'll get to that in a minute. But I wouldn't let myself go to bed until about 11:30. I wasn't allowed to last night.
Will, you're full adult.
So I was actually on a pretty good schedule. I was going to go to bed around 9. 9:15, which if you know me, that might as well be like 5 p.m. for most people.
Yeah, for real. You're
And
night owl.
I was watching the Braves game, of course. Braves-Dodgers. Braves get the win 3-1 last night. Kenley Jansen gets a save against his former team. And Max Fried had a perfect game through 5 innings.
Perfect
game. 15 up, 15 down. So I broke the rules of baseball and the rules of jinx, which are, as Pam Beasley in The Office says, unflinchingly rigid. That's 2 Office quotes now in 6 minutes. And I texted my buddies and was like, hey, all I'm sending is an eye emoji. Yeah. I'm not saying what it means. I'm just saying I'm not gonna jinx it, but like I would be livid with myself if I went to bed and then I woke up and it's like, oh, Max Fried threw a perfect game, and that hasn't happened in baseball in 10 years.
And by the way, just reference on that too.
Yeah,
you are a main event type of guy.
I'm a lifer with the Braves too.
With the Braves and with the Vols. Most of the big events, you found a way to finesse your way into the building, right? That's what we'll say. You finesse your way.
The way I finesse my way is a man by the name of Ronnie Bowling who makes sure that we are there.
But
I'm eternally grateful for that.
You're all about the big events though, right?
Lord.
All about the big events.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Okay, and all the sports too. Will got a whole lot of knowledge. I'm just giving a little backstory to why this was important.
A lot of useless knowledge. And and then the second I sent that text, first pitch of the next inning, base hit into right. All right, time for bed. So I waited a little bit longer than I would have liked to, but still good. I'm much more awake today than I was at this point yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, for real.
Like we're here having a nice conversation, start the morning. I'm drinking my coffee. I chugged a half a pot of coffee and just stood there in front of it and just had a little come to Jesus with myself of we're gonna wake up today.
Did you really?
And I just refilled it again, and then we're here.
You came in this morning. I wasn't chatty patty, but I was just real hyped to see you. Number one, came in with great energy.
It's kind of you.
You came in with great energy. I love that. All right, just gonna throw that. I love that.
Right.
And I had to tell myself, Mom, shut up. He hadn't even got started yet.
You sound like we're on a first date or something is what this sounds like right now. In your head, you're telling yourself to shut up.
Man, I'm feeling like a third wheel here, man. I don't appreciate this.
I had to tell myself, Mom, your name is on this damn show. What are you trying to impress Will for?
What's that like? Must be nice.
Hey, man.
Must be nice.
Keep working. That's what
Not
they
really
do.
an athlete.
Well, we knew that.
It's awesome about Jason on that one. I didn't laugh at Jay yesterday.
You didn't laugh at Jay?
You didn't laugh
Yeah,
at Jay?
you did.
Yes, you did.
I couldn't even say it with his
Yeah, you couldn't even say that live.
Or as many times as he's run that 5 too slow, my guy's 5 no go.
608.
Now he's hobbling around this convention he's at. And no lie,
See at the anime convention?
I don't know what convention he's at.
That's been in town the last 2 weeks.
The furries.
It has been.
First time I saw that was crazy.
They would have the furries convention in Pittsburgh.
My roommate almost hit a guy walking the street who had a sword.
No.
He was carrying a sword.
No.
I was like, hey, bud, he's armed. You might not want to mess with him.
Yeah, please
You got
don't.
a truck and stuff, but easy.
The furries, though, man. It was on a Saturday night. I'm going to the hotel the night before the game, and I see all these people in costumes. Yo, am I missing? It wasn't Halloween, and it wasn't even Halloween at the time. Well, I was like, what the hell is going on here? Me, my little angelic mind from the South.
Excuse me?
Let me tell my story.
609, Jonathan Schaefer. Ramon Foster described his mind as angelic. What are we doing?
Why did you decide to wake up this morning and not only choose violence, but also choose to be a compulsive liar?
Damn.
I know. It's not even 10 minutes into the show, and here I am. What I'm saying is, I had never seen this type of convention being from the South. It's not a Southern thing. It's
crazy.
not a Southern thing. Every place does it. I feel like I've seen some furries down on Broadway.
Man.
There's no telling what you'll see down there, Will.
It's
There's a lot in Broadway we can't talk about on public airwaves.
It's a lot of character.
Yeah. And also, by the way, I just need you to know this. For every action, there's a what?
There's a reaction?
Equal
or opposite
reaction.
Usually
Science.
a channel change or a new contract.
Yeah, one or the other, okay?
Okay.
With that being said, your music yesterday, our first comment just came in, okay?
Sucked.
From Gator Hater. Gator Hater. We're friends because we hate the Gators together, okay? By the way, we got to get into the hypo at some point.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, but You went Disney radio is what they're
Disney
saying.
radio.
I didn't say that.
Oh,
Will,
my
I didn't
gosh.
say that. Others said
This is
that.
like if somebody above the age of 40 played me music and I said this is nursery home radio. This is assisted living radio that I hear a lot on this radio station.
I like getting
Not on this show. This show has good music.
I appreciate it.
This show's got a little bit of culture to it.
appreciate
It's got
it.
some variety, but like the angsty soft rock. I don't know how soft
I know who you're
rock can
talking
be
about.
angsty, but
I'ma
this
add
show
him.
does it.
I'm gonna add who you're talking about right
for
now.
it.
Lucas Panzica.
Oh, Lucas.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
I've heard some of his tunes that he's playing. You're referring to him.
No, I
wanna
wasn't
put
really.
I'm putting a name on it. Lucas.
Okay.
Will has already slandered
Is it
you
his
this
day
morning.
today?
Hey, don't act like we can't appoint a day today. It is 420, okay? Lucas is your day. But with that being said, today's playlist will be compliments of You Degenerates. Get ready. Pooh Shiesty.
Oh. Oh.
The decision was made.
What does that mean?
It's just going to be your ratcheted up day today.
Perfect.
We got a lot of stuff that happened yesterday.
615-737-1045. You can watch the show as well on 1045 The Zone TV, Twitch, Facebook Live, Twitter, and YouTube. YouTube chat on this show is as
Give it a description. Go ahead. I dare you.
it's various types of dumpster fires where sometimes it's like a clean dumpster where it's like it could be worse as far as dumpster fires go, but then sometimes it's just a dumpster fire.
You know what?
But it's all right.
And it's different shifts too. The morning
Oh,
crew
no, it definitely is.
is that's our crowd, Will. That's our people.
I feel like your crew kind of like runs it back in the afternoon a little bit too. Like they'll hijack the 3HL chat. If they don't like what they're hearing, they just decide that this is what you're going to hear now because we're going to take over.
No, and Buck kicks him out of his chats pretty much.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then-
No, Buck is.
Yeah,
Buck ain't nobody got time for that on the Buck Rising
on
show.
the Buck Rising chat. And then Blaine and Mickey, they respect him too much. It's like, all right, we'll just let that chat be.
That's kind of when they take their break. They go out for some cigarettes.
The little 2-hour lunch break.
Yeah,
I'm good at those.
That's right.
I'm really good at those.
They go out for a cigarette and a sandwich and come back.
Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk a little bit of offensive line coming up throughout the show today. 7:45, we've got Duke Manyweather of OL Masterminds. I've got an OL Mastermind sitting with me, and that's probably a segment where I'm going to take my coffee break because I'm just going to let these guys break down the intricacies of offensive line and just watch our audience just decide to go elsewhere. But that's okay. I kid, of course.
That's a great conversation because the Titans could be picking one.
I am picking one with my.
Are
with
you
my pick
really?
at 26.
See?
We'll get to that. Radio tease. Coming up at 8:20, we've got Robert Mays of The Athletic. Get into all of the draft storylines with him. Rhett Bryan at 9 o'clock. Midweek Motivation with Inky Johnson coming up at the end of the show. There is lots to discuss today, where Tennessee also has a new commit. They said Heupel couldn't recruit, proving people wrong week in and week out, so we'll get to that. But coming up next, we get into more of the A.J. Brown discussion by looking at one wide receiver in contract negotiations who is at voluntary workouts. We'll do that coming up next. JMart and Ramon, Will Bowling, Ramon Foster with you, powered by all four seasons on 104.5 The Zone.
If you're noticing around your home doors and windows sticking, you got cracks in your bricks, concrete not level, you got a bowing basement wall, your chimney's leaning, all of them are signs of foundation issues with your home. How serious is it? You don't know, but you got to find somebody that you can trust that can come in that's going to tell you what's going on and sometimes tell you it's not as serious as maybe you feared. And some companies aren't going to do that. Some companies are going to find a way that it's always more serious. You know those mechanics. Those horror stories of mechanics where you just might as well show up with your entire bank account because they're going to take it, even if all you needed was an oil change and a new tire. USS, United Structural Systems, has been here for over a quarter of a century. They're the opposite of the mechanics I just described. Integrity's off the charts. A-plus rating with a Better Business Bureau. Locally owned, but more than anything, peace of mind. They are problem solvers. And their solution is often more simple than you would think. If it's complex, it's complex, but they're going to come out and tell you exactly what is and is not happening with your home. They come out and give you a detailed free estimate. They're going to tell you exactly what's going on. They're going to diagnose the problem and tell you what it's going to cost to get that taken care of. Sometimes that number is zero, which we always want to point out. But you get to make the call, and then they do the job, and then you pay. That's the order it should be in. Over 22,000 satisfied customers can tell you this is a phone call you got to place. Do it today if you're having issues or if you're afraid you're having issues. You need somebody that can look at it with an expert eye and tell you what you don't know. 615-227-2275. That's 227-2275, or visit them online at ussTN.com. United Structural Systems.
Wednesday edition. JMart and Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons here in Nashville. Will Bowling, Ramon Foster, and Jonathan Schaefer hanging out with you this morning. You can join us at 615-737-1045. Another day in Nashville means another day of overthinking A.J. Brown's tweets.
Stupid.
It is stupid. But there is something of interest, I think, going on in Los Angeles right now that pertains to the Titans. Because another star receiver is in contract negotiations, but Ramon, he is at voluntary workouts.
In L.A.?
In L.A. And it's a pretty
Cooper?
big receiver.
Cooper?
That is correct.
Of course Cooper wants it.
Yeah.
You daggone
And Cooper's
right.
already getting paid a good bit.
He really is. And by the way, Debo's situation got a little bit more toxic last night also. I don't know if you saw that or brought that up either, but
I'm starting to think that out of the three receivers that are not at voluntary workouts right now, A.J. Brown is going to be the first one with a contract.
A.J. Brown will be.
Yes.
I would think so. A.J.'s gotten a little, well, I say he's gotten quiet, but I know Diana Rossini, shout out to Buck, had her on yesterday. And one thing, too, about the team insiders is this. They have a real good in on being in on information. And she said yesterday, what, Will, if you saw it?
Let's hear it. This was yesterday on the Buck Rising Show. So there you go.
There it is.
Diana Rossini of ESPN on yesterday's Buck Rising Show.
Did Buck laugh at when she said, I think, the first time? Because when she said, I think, it almost like he laughed like, oh, well, no, you know.
Well, even if he didn't, we're going to say he did.
Yeah, he did.
With the current format of the way news breaks in the NFL, Diana Rossini at this point is about one of three people that's breaking legitimate Titans news.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because the team reporter is so much more common now, and Jim Wyatt is such a stud that it's Jim Wyatt and it's Diana Rossini on probably 75% of Titans news now.
Yeah, it's crazy how you work and get your way into the insider role, man. I always wonder because I saw a guy in Jeremy Fowler, kind of march his way up the ranks when it came down to being an insider. Now he's a guy that's constantly on ESPN. I remember when he first walked in the locker room, I was like, who the heck is this guy? Yeah. And never played football. I think he's a volleyball player and stuff like that, but he covered us like crazy. And I'll say this too, and Shafe can definitely comment on this one. He covered us during some crazy times with AB, Antonio, Mike Wallace. It was so being at a hot team gets you this. Diana is very appreciative of the Titans having a little bit of iffiness going on right now.
Sure.
But yeah, that's good for this fan base. I love it.
615-737-1045, the number. Cooper Kupp is another guy that wants this new contract. And he's coming off of a season where, of course, he is the Super Bowl MVP.
Oof.
He's the Offensive Player of the Year.
Oof.
And he's signed through 2023. So he's not even going into his last year at this point.
Not really.
And he's got salaries of $14.5 million this upcoming season and $14.25 the next season. And the Rams have already expressed that they want to sign him to an extension. His words, Ramon, about why he wanted to be at voluntary workouts, saying it's important to be here, be around the guys and around this team. The goal at the end of the day is to win a world title. Whatever is going to put us in a place where we can compete for another world title, put us in a better position where we can be a better football team, that's the goal. The best thing I can do is be a part of that.
That's beautiful. That's truly beautiful.
So I don't really know if showing up for suicides in April really makes that big of a difference.
Yeah.
But a guy who had the Lombardi last year and a lot more hardware does, which I think is of note right now to where the Titans stand.
And he has the most leverage of every single person
He
in this group.
absolutely does.
And this is the other thing. Of course, I'm going to use an old adage that I've kind of heard a little bit. You catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. It's very sweet in Los Angeles right now for the Rams. Why would Cooper Kupp rock the boat when it comes down to his contract negotiations? If you ask every person in that building in L.A., hey, should Cooper Kupp get a pay raise? What are they going to say, Will? Hell yeah.
Right.
Give him whatever he wants. Why are we going to mess up a good thing? That's been their biggest thing. I watched some of the Von Miller. No, I watched all of that Von Miller docuseries. He's got his own page on YouTube. And I watched him kind of just break down how the Buffalo Bills deal went. He was in, I forget where he was, in some nice island. And just the way he communicated with the Rams on like, hey, look, coach, I really, really want to be there. And he's talking to Sean McVay at this point. He's telling Coach, I really, really want to be there. And Jalen Ramsey called him, and he talked to, I think, Aaron Donald, and he spoke about all things. He was like, man, it's really like being at the Pro Bowl every doggone day, and I'm in practice with y'all. And I think their environment is I don't want to say so positive because it's like it's cushy there, and it's not. Right. But I think the way they are in that building right now, they're of the mindset running back. Whatever we got to do that again, let's do it again. And I think Cooper Kupp is a part of that. Don't rock this boat that we have, because what they have going on in LA right now, let's be real, Will, is very fragile too. Their depth, as far as they have, they don't have much when it comes to backup. Cooper Kupp goes out. Who you got? They lost Robert Woods already.
They've paid a lot of guys.
You see what I'm saying? They just lost Vaughn.
Right.
So it's just like, hey, everybody be quiet. If he needs the money, give him the money. And I still don't see how they make it happen. LA is they got a lot of cash out there with a lot of superstar guys, like Vaughn said.
And they've added Allen Robinson at this point.
Sure
Von Miller is gone, but they've got Allen Robinson. They've they're getting Odell Beckham Jr. back as well.
Yep.
At least is the plan for them. You've also still got some veteran wide receivers who are still just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And Julio Jones is one of them. He's sitting there, which is what he did for a lot of the regular season as well. No disrespect, but
respectfully,
that's kind of what's going on with a lot of these veteran wide receivers. And it seems like Cooper Kupp at least has a better picture of what his value is compared to the head coach that gets the best out of him.
Right.
Cooper Kupp is a perfect marriage for Sean McVay in the way that they use him in that offense.
Yes, 100%. And this is the thing, too. There's no ego about it. I know there was it may have been the Titans game where Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp where they were speaking about, Robert Woods not getting his catches and stuff like that. Bobby Tree. Yeah, that's appropriate. They were talking about him not getting the ball as much. And next thing you know, they started dishing to him, and Bobby Trees did his thing. So, but everybody know in L.A., Cooper's the man. And at 14, I'll say this too. For him being the Triple Crown winner this year as far as touchdowns, yards, and receptions, you got to say when you're the best in the business, go ahead and knock that out. Like if you have the power. And that's what's so interesting about AJ, DK, Debo, Scary Terry. And also you got to throw Cooper Kupp in there now. When players, and especially football players, when they finally get leverage, they have to use it. Depending on your position, which wide receivers right now, to me, as far as the pecking order, quarterback, wide receiver. I don't even want to hear an argument about who's the next most important guy when it comes down to who's selling tickets, who's making plays for your team.
Right.
So when a wide receiver get this type of power in the NFL, you got to use it. And right now, Cooper has it. $14 million for a guy like him, Super Bowl MVP, it's underpaid.
Oh, yeah.
Justifiably, he's okay to ask for that. And I think it's justifiable that AJ can ask for whatever he's going to ask for too.
It goes back to knowing your value within a scheme. And I think it's similar to what the Derrick Henry contract negotiations sounded like back in 2020. That was a pandemic offseason, so we never got to know how Derrick Henry would have approached voluntary workouts in that season because there were no voluntary workouts at this point. I think that's also another point to tell Titans fans that are concerned about not hearing from A.J. Brown and not hearing from Ryan Tannehill at this point, is that they didn't have these workouts 2 years ago. Like, this was one of the first things they decided this isn't completely necessary, so we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's slightly different with Ryan. Because
I do agree with that.
Because of the unique situation.
And your quarterback.
In a vacuum, what you're saying is right.
Your quarterback is your CEO.
Yeah, 100%.
I think the Tannehill story is a bigger deal right now to the Tennessee Titans than the A.J. Brown absence.
100%. Only difference is A.J. tweets.
Right.
You're seeing what he's saying.
And wide receiver people are more quickly to call you a diva
Oh my God.
as a wide receiver.
We didn't talk about what I thought about why people call them that, right?
Yeah.
Divas. We
What's
didn't
that?
have that conversation.
I don't think we did.
So to me, and this is just my personal opinion from what I've seen from guys, and I've had conversation with coaches about this and people around the game too. And why is the wide receiver position is what it is? Why do they get labeled divas? From T.O. to Randy to all of even the legends. Other than I'd say Jerry probably wasn't like that, but to a T, most of all of them become divas. I say that in quotation marks because it's the only position on the field. The only position on the field that you have to rely on somebody else doing their job to get you what you need out of yours.
Sure.
You have to be
That's
justified by the person pitching you the ball when it comes to you playing wide receiver. Running back, hand it to him. Hey, it's on you to go find the hole. It's on you to break those tackles. Okay, offensive line, do your thing, whatever. Tight ends, man, you're an extension of the O-line. A great tight end is going to have what? Well, a really good one, 500 to 600 yards a year.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Kittle and Kelsey and stuff like that.
Those guys are basically just really big wide receivers.
Darren Waller. We're not speaking about, but like the solid ones get what? Austin Hooper made Pro Bowl at like 600 yards receiving.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Defense, man, this dog eat dog. If you want 100 tackles, go make 100 tackles.
Right.
So when it comes down to wide receivers wanting theirs, you have to understand where they come from. They rely on the quarterback getting them the ball with also the understanding that at one particular time, it could be 4 other wide receivers on the field. And then let's say if you miss the open wide receiver, that may be his only opportunity in the game to get what he want out of a play. You know what I'm saying? Or if I'm running my routes and I'm killing my guy on defense, but you're only pitching the ball to one person in a game, which when you're wide receiver one, you get that luxury too. Right. And that's why wide receiver one sometimes, i.e. A.J. Brown, wants his because now I've justified that I am one and you got to treat me like that. So the diva comes in where it's I'm relying on you to make me look great.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And here's where I think a lot of the famous wide receiver divas get it twisted. They then think that the quarterback is relying on them to have their success.
Right.
That's where this gets really interesting, is the Terrell Owens of the world will then turn around and say, yeah, I'm the one position on the field where success is based on one person, but I'm that person.
Yes, sir.
And my quarterback is who he is because of me being on the field, and this is my show, and then that's where things can kind of go off the rails. But
what has been the conversation with Tannehill and AJ? You know, he don't shine without AJ for the most part. You're right. Like, so that back and forth, that power struggle will becomes very, very intricate about who's who and who's doing what.
I agree. 615-737-1045, the number if you want to jump in on the conversation. This is an opportunity where I think versatility is kind of a two-edged sword because versatility earns you more money, perhaps in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Deebo Samuel specifically is who I'm thinking of here, it also makes the contract negotiation a little bit trickier.
It does.
Because the value that you have in yourself as a guy who's taken carries and has been a bigger piece of the Kyle Shanahan offense than most other wide receivers and more than the other two that are at the same stage in A.J. Brown and Terry McLaurin, it makes his sense of value probably seem a little bit bigger than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure it gets him really that much of a bigger payday, despite the fact that it's making him more susceptible to injury and a bigger focal point of the San Francisco 49ers offense.
And you know what's the one of the more intricate parts about Deebo's situation to what you just said is when you come into the league, they tell you the more you can do, the longer you stay around. It's cute for Kadero Patterson to be wide receiver, running back, tight end, because why? His career is more closer to the end than it is actually, thriving in the middle of it. So with that being said, if he can play running back, it's more valuable to him. But they all tell you in the league is this. Look, you better find one position because we can't pay you for two.
Right.
You get paid for specifically what you do. Be a specialist at being guard.
Right.
A guard tackle combo is great for a year one, year two guy. But guess what? You better settle on one because then we know how to pay you. That's where it's coming into play with Deebo. And, boy, his family and him right now are going at it, Will. Not necessarily going at it.
Yeah.
They're just saying a lot.
And that leverage also has to do with the fact that Deebo Samuel in his camp knows that San Francisco has $60 million of cap space starting next season. Deebo Samuel is not asking for a bag this year. He's asking for a backloaded bag that starts next year.
Yeah.
Because that wide receiver position, once you start creeping into the upper 20s a little bit more, that lifespan gets a little bit shorter for wide receivers now. That's when you really want to get paid.
Yes, sir.
Is at that point of your career.
Yep.
And when a team has $60 million of cap space in a couple of years, in literally 2 years, that's when the alarm bells go up and say, all right, I've got all of the leverage possible here.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, San Francisco doesn't know what their quarterback situation is going to look like after this season. You talk about a Super Bowl window that could be closing right now. That one's up there.
I mean, unless they're going to, you talking about 49ers,
Yeah.
right? They better figure something out very fast when it comes to Trey Lance then. You know?
Yeah.
And Debo's right. Without Jimmy G and Kittle, again, relies on the quarterback to get the job done. So Trey Lance has to show up to the plate.
And I say this because I feel like the Tennessee Titans, with where they are, might be a year behind where the 49ers are.
All right now, as far as team organically pushing the finish line.
Because think about who the other team was in 2019 that was playing in the conference championship game that didn't make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It was the San Francisco 49ers.
Yep.
I think there are a lot of similarities between those two teams and where they sit with their star wide receivers, with their windows, with some of the money coming up and trying to maybe make that fit with a new rookie quarterback. So that's why I think that team is of particular interest to me right now.
Yeah.
From the Titans' perspective. Let's get a quick break. Kevin will lead us off on the phone lines when we come back. You can join us at 615-737-1045. And I've got a very funny story from Twitter.com yesterday. We're talking about cringy secondhand embarrassment office episodes. Someone made a real-life Scott's Tots situation happen a little bit last night, and a radio broadcast fell for it like it was real.
Bless they heart.
I'm going to find that audio as well. It's JMart and Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons here on 104.5 The Zone. JMart and Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons here in Nashville. Will Bowling, Ramon Foster hanging out with you. You can join us at 615-737-1045, talking about Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, and where the Tennessee Titans fit into different ways to build a Super Bowl window. Let's go to the phone lines on the Marks Payne Real Estate Hotline, where the first word this morning goes to Kevin in Nashville. Good morning, Kevin.
Morning, Kevin.
Good morning, man. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Welcome.
Hey, appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir, man. And my main call this morning was old Tannehill.
All right.
This guy right here, let me break something down. AJ, yeah, he needs to get his money. He ain't there. But Tannehill needs to be the one on the phone calling him, telling him, here, look, man, you're going to get paid. Mike ain't trading you. Get your ass here. I'm going to be here. He needs to get his ass here. I'm tired of hearing this, oh, he's spending time with the family. This guy should be embarrassed to even turn on the TV for his family to see everybody bashing him and talking about how bad he is. He needs to be in here with the team, rallying the troops, and going and trying to get this ring. Sitting at the house, spending time with your family ain't helping. And I'm sorry. He's a pro athlete. He's getting paid big money. He needs to be there, getting everybody ready so we can go win at the Super Bowl.
I'm with you.
Thank you for the call, Kevin.
Kevin is the part of this group that's still feeling it.
I think there's some truth to that.
You know what else we
0 days.
It's been 0 days since Ryan Tannehill called a stray.
So I looked at some of the numbers yesterday. A.J. Brown missed 4 games last season.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill was sacked 14 times in those 4 games without A.J. Brown on the field.
Holding on to it and stroking the ball a little bit. Trying to find a guy.
That's right.
Trying to find a guy.
That's a conversation I want to get into
know
in
what?
the next hour, too, is I think there's a way you make the same wide receivers on that team better next year if Ryan Tannehill has more time to find them. And I know as an offensive lineman, you're going to back me up.
I'm 100% going to back you up.
I'm catering to my audience here. My audience is you.
Audience of one this morning. Well,
Hallelujah.
No, but it's an important aspect of the game too. Like the questions about right tackle have to be answered. You lost Roger, and you say what you want about Roger being injured. If he could be there, he was in the game. You know what I'm saying? Sappho.
Right.
And the fact that you got to find his replacement. I know they signed some guys this offseason, and you have the idea that Dylan Raiders can play. And I know Aaron Brewer. I'm not sure if he's more center than he is guard or what, but he's in the fold also. And then you got Nate also that's still in the fold. But that right tackle and left guard position has to be addressed, or the guy that's in it got to hit the ground running. I know Kevin brought up the fact that Tannehill need to get in the building and make it happen.
Right.
The other aspect of making it happen, though, too, and I've said this, and I'm not going to charge him up by saying this, but Taylor has to be the guy leading the charge for those guys up front.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're at a very crucial point in trying to piece that front 5 together, and not just that, they got to get some cohesion fast. And Taylor's the guy that I'm charging up to say, hey, be who we think you are. And not to say that he ain't, you know what I'm saying? But it's going to have to show fast because this city needs that answer.
You can't build a Super Bowl window, and you can't build something of a contender without that steady foundation. And the foundation needs to be Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and Taylor Lewan in that order.
Yep.
And those guys have got to be available, and they have got to be as close to their best as they were in 2020, when at that point, Ryan Tannehill led all eligible passers in passer rating since he took over as the Tennessee Titans quarterback. Like how quickly we forget that at this point last year, we were talking about how Ryan Tannehill was underappreciated in national markets. And about how the fact that he led the league in passer rating since he took over as the starter. I know that the narrative changed quickly, and that's okay.
But it did to the defense, too.
Because perception is reality, and perception is all of your reality in an offseason when that's the last thing that you did. What have you done for me lately? You threw 3 interceptions against the Cincinnati Bengals. So that's what his story is right now. But you get close to comfortable again with him, and you get Tim Kelly, and you get more of the play-action passing game back into your system, which they didn't have as much last year. And we could be talking about a very different Ryan Tannehill.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So callers like that, I get it. I understand the frustration. And that's where Ryan's not doing himself any favors right now with the optics. And that is the only reason why this is on our radar whatsoever, is just because of optics. Which is really interesting to me.
It is, and it's still time. Hell, we're in the first week of phase 1. You know, so
Ramon,
go ahead. What you got for me?
Let me add the counter to that. I apologize for interrupting you. There is a point where optics matter.
It's right now,
and I think in that situation,
Trying to defend them, man.
I think in that situation we're there.
Yeah.
And look, I have not been on the slander Ryan Tannehill out of town train.
You have not.
I haven't either.
And again, I don't really care that he's not there. I don't care that A.J. Brown's not there. I don't care that A.J. Brown doesn't have Tennessee Titans in his Twitter profile.
Oh,
wow, like that matters about anything.
Yeah.
Other than just him expressing himself in however he feels like he needs to.
Yes, sir.
But when you are the starting quarterback, when you have the situation occur that it did, and there's always circumstances and coaching decisions and what have you, the anger that's coming from Titans fans are not just the 3 interceptions and the circumstance in which everybody thought this is the year and there was a complete buy-in in this city. That's true. That's a large part of it. It's 3 straight playoff losses. It's 3 straight playoff games where it was, I don't know if that's the guy.
Titans fans don't just want to make a run. They want to be the team and follow through on it. It's the history of this team playing at home in the divisional round.
And while I don't agree with the level of vitriol that's been thrown at Ryan Tannehill because it's just nonsensical. I understand it. I understand the emotional response, but it's a bit silly and it's a bit over the top.
Right.
What I do applaud Titans fans for is, hey, it's no longer about winning a division. It's no longer about getting to the playoffs. It's now about going and competing for and winning a Super Bowl. And that is John Robinson and Mike Vrabel and this team being a victim of circumstance of them rising the franchise to this level.
Yeah.
But that's a beautiful place to be.
That is a beautiful place.
When your fan base expects that too.
Yes.
You know, and so like you said, it's not the protection of Ryan Tannehill. You know, it's so you say the optics matter, Shafe. They matter big time. So I'm interested to see what he's going to say then. When it does, like to his credit, he did speak after the game.
But that's it.
But that's it. And I say this too, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it when we're speaking of the optics of it. The one guy that had a heck of a game was A.J. Brown in the last game of the season. And he was the only one to have spoken.
He had to grow up quick and kind of be the guy.
And I hated that for him.
Yeah.
Because I've had some terrible games. We've lost bad and everything else. You know what I'm saying? But everybody take the heat that was playing in the game for the most part anyway. I give him a silly answer.
Sure.
But when it was locker clean-out day, I was in the locker room.
But that's
taking that
the
heat.
point. It's not even a matter of what's being said. It's that you have to stand there and take the slings and arrows.
Right.
Because you're the guy. And as you brought up earlier this week on the show, Ramon, is that all we heard last year, and it might have actually been Ron yesterday as well, all we heard last year, leader.
Sure did.
Leader,
It was Ron.
leader. You got to step up.
Show us.
So, yeah,
Show us.
optics at times kind of silly, don't really matter in certain situations. It's the first phase of off-season conditioning. I mean, let's face it. On a larger scale, who really gives a rip? If you're Caleb Farley, it's really important. If you're Austin Hooper, it's really important. But in this situation, you have to be the guy that stands up and takes the slings and arrows, whether you like it or not, because as Ramon said yesterday, quoting Don Draper,
That's what the money's for.
Perception is reality when there is no real football being played right now. So what else do we really have to go off of?
you don't have a game to change the narrative.
Exactly.
But what if the first game come out?
Coming up next, sometimes it's your day. Never be the guy that gets got on a fake tweet. And never be the guy that then goes on a radio show or a radio signal and doubles down on being the guy to break a story that you then learn is fake. I can't believe this is a thing that really happened. And I love it so much because it is right out of The Office, of which this show is a very big fan. One quarter down. Carl and Murfreesboro will lead us off when we come back. Plus more of the headlines. Nashville Predators back in the win column last night in a big one. Lots to discuss on this Wednesday morning. 1 hour down, 3 to go. 104.5 The Zone.
Business owners, are you feeling boxed in by the pressures of running your business, like managing remote workforces, keeping up with changing regulations and HR compliance, hiring and retaining top talent, like handling payroll? This list goes on, and there's a limit to what you can do to keep employees engaged while running your business smoothly. Fortunately, there's Insperity. They put 30-plus years of HR experience to work to help you develop a people strategy that supports your business strategy while focusing on the health of your organization. What if your HR strategy included access to better benefits to help you keep the employees you have and also attract new ones? What if it also offered training for your employees to increase their skills so they become more productive? There will always be challenges to face in business, and no matter where they come from, and they come from everywhere, Insperity is ready to help you move past them by providing the HR solutions you need. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Insperity, HR that makes a difference. Go visit their website at insperity.com.
7:02, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Big win last night for the Nashville Predators. A scrappy one over the Calgary Flames, 3-2 in a shootout at Bridgestone Arena. With the 2 points and with 5 games remaining in the regular season, Nashville currently in possession of the first wild card slot in the Western Conference, 2 points ahead of Dallas. Matt Duchene scored his 40th goal of the season, becoming the first player in franchise history to score 40 in a season. His teammate may be joining him shortly within these next 5 games. Philip Forsberg has 39 on the year, scored last night. It was the first time he'd scored in about 3 weeks. Memphis defeated the Minnesota Timberwolves 124-96 in the NBA playoffs last night. Ja Morant, 23 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists. Memphis even up that series. Late night baseball on the West Coast. The Braves over the Dodgers 3-1. Braves had 12 hits. The Dodgers just 2. Walker Buehler took the loss for the Dodgers. The Tennessee Vols are adding 4-star outside linebacker Caleb Herring, the 8th commitment for the 2023 class. He is the number 1 recruit in the state. The Riverdale High School standout, the younger brother of 2022 signee linebacker Elijah Herring. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Finishing the first half strongly on the Wednesday edition. JMart and Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons here on 104.5 The Zone. 1 hour down and 3 to go. With myself, Will Bowling, sitting in for Jason Martin on IR this week. Ramon Foster to my left, Jonathan Schaefer behind the glass, and you on the phone lines at 615-737-1045 discussing A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill, and much more about the offseason workouts or lack thereof here in Nashville. And we get into a little bit of offensive line conversation here in hour 2. Speaking the big man's language over here. We got Duke Manyweather, offensive line scouting and development of OL Masterminds coming up at 7:40 here in hour number 2.
Looking forward to that conversation. That's such a huge conversation now moving forward in the NFL. It ain't about the small skill. Big skill is finally getting some love, Will, and I'm glad people appreciate the big guys.
Well, y'all are taking all the media gigs. That's why. You offensive
It's
linemen.
true, honestly.
Schwartz and Tucker.
Mike Golick Jr., Eric Woods, Big
Junior said he was dropping something today.
He did.
He did so.
I don't know
Friend of
what
the
that
show.
means.
Friend of the show.
Find God.
That's probably what it is.
He is maybe my favorite Twitter follow.
He's so good.
Like, that guy could talk about the Farmer's Almanac, and I would think it was entertaining.
The way he elaborates on it.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So good.
Let's go to the phone lines where you can join us at 615-737-1045 via the Marks Payne Real Estate Hotline. Check in with Carl in Murfreesboro. Good morning, Carl.
Morning, fellas.
Morning.
So, here's my thoughts on Ryan Tannehill and why he's maybe not again, which is not, honestly, it's not a big deal. But my thoughts are, remember when he was in Miami and he had a couple of bad games and whatnot?
You breaking up on us, Carl? Please tell me it's your Bluetooth.
Carl, you broke up there for
You
a minute.
broke up
What'd you
for
say?
a minute. Start over.
All right. So, back in Miami, when Tannehill was down there, he started to have a little slump. He lost his confidence. The fans were starting to give him a seat because he wasn't playing well. They were calling for the backup to come in. Do you guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So my point is that he had a terrible last game. We all know that. My point is, what did John Robinson say? They have to play great around him. What's Ryan Tannehill? Probably like, man, they don't think I can do well.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think I can do enough. So he's like, well, you know what? I'm going to work on my own and just be by myself. I'm not going to come to the team. And so his confidence is starting to dip down a little bit. And so my concern is for this upcoming season, he's going to revert back to Tannehill of Miami, and he's not going to produce like he did in 2020. So, again, it's workouts. It's not a super big deal, but the optics, like you guys said earlier, looks really bad. And my concern is for the upcoming season, he's going to revert back to Miami. That's all I have. Thanks for the call, guys. Appreciate it. I'll listen.
Appreciate it, Carl. It's hard for me to get inside the head of Ryan Tannehill on this decision because I I can't really wrap my head around why you wouldn't just be here and just make life a lot easier on yourself. Which makes me think that he has completely insulated himself from all of the noise since about 20 minutes after he finished talking to the media after that loss to the Bengals.
I heard Buck bring this up yesterday. Buck, I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but I think this is a very important
He
thing.
needs somebody to take some of that thunder away from him.
He brought up the idea, we probably got to, outsource a sports psychologist to talk to. And I know I can definitely find that somewhere, as far as tapping into that. But we got to have a conversation about the mindsets of players when they're going through something like this. Because dudes do see them. I've heard of parents sending their kids to sports psychologists. I'm talking about like middle school kids, and it's an important part of trying to figure out why. To who was it? Carl's conversation right there about Ryan. He's just not helping himself if he wants to be a hermit about what he's got going on.
Yeah.
Like every player goes through something.
Right.
Hitters go through slumps. Like pitchers get the yips. Like quarterbacks get shell shocked. I saw Mason Rudolph just couldn't stand in the pocket because of hits. You know what I'm saying? Even Ben was like when he was getting sacked a lot, like before we really like took off, like he'd be like, hey, take care of me, guys. Like it's a natural part of it. But my thing is how I've always been raised, Will, like, hey, stay in it.
Right.
It's gonna work itself out. The noise that you hear today might not be the noise that you hear 2 weeks from now.
Sure.
So stay in it. So I can't understand that. And I'm hard on I'm gonna be real with my kids. I'm like, hey, toughen up. Like, let's go.
Right.
It's the next phase. If you got a great hit, you know what I tell them? And they'll tell you this, get another one.
Yeah. Do it again.
Do it again.
Replicate it.
So it's like for Ryan and me, I'm with him. You know what I'm saying? Dude, we got to fight this out because that's what sports is.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to hear your clip, though. Like, this Tannehill thing just gets me, man. Like,
I feel
God. And I'm not mad. I don't want to ever stray away from that conversation, but goodness.
We've also analyzed pretty much every single facet of it, and it's April. Like, we need real football.
And there's going to be
in
more.
a bad way.
Because he's going to speak at some point.
Right.
I hope he does anyway.
Yeah.
And we're not done with this, not by a long stretch.
Definitely
But Ryan Tannehill, if you listening to me this morning, me and Will, stay in it, dog.
Right.
That's the only way you're going to get these people up off your back. Stay in this. Face this. Golly. Now I'm talking like a player, like I'm really facing him right now.
What you would tell him in the locker room.
Yeah, that's what I would tell him in the locker room. Dog, you can't beat this.
Right.
We got unlimited ink and characters on Twitter.
Right.
And in this airspace. You can't beat us at this or this fan base. Face this up front right now.
So, switching gears here.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
So, you've seen the Scott's Tots episode of The Office.
I love it. It's so cringy.
So, for those of you who haven't seen it, for a lot of people that love The Office or love just good television, it's an episode a lot of people skip because it makes you cringe to your core.
Yeah.
And basically the premise of this entire episode is that Michael Scott, the lovable yet hateable that some people do, character in The Office, promised a group of kids when they were in first grade that if you graduate high school, then I'll send you to college for free. And then he has to go back to the school when they invite him and say, hey, these kids are graduating high school. They're ready for you to pay the tuition money. And he's got to explain to them that he can't pay their tuition money. So, yesterday, a parody account that looks like the New York Post that says New York Porch is what this is. So, Garrett Cole is a pitcher for the New York Yankees, who Garrett Cole has an ERA of about 5 ever since the foreign substances got taken out of baseball.
No more spider
No
attack
more,
on
no
his
more
hands.
sticky stuff.
What happened?
And the
I
tweet
met
is,
Garrett
which
too,
New York
man.
Yankees, the easiest team to hate in all of sports. And I do. The tweet says, Garrett Cole promised an underprivileged school he'd donate 600 MacBooks if he went 2 innings tonight. He went an inning and 2/3. And the Angels radio broadcast reported this during their game like it was real. Listen to this. It's the wow at the end that does it for me. The thing I love about this so much, and this is probably pretty inside baseball, but I love the storytelling of baseball broadcasters who are just the smugness of, well, Garrett Cole said he was going to give all these MacBooks away.
How they talk.
And there's the 2-2 pitch outside. And what a shame that is to the community of New York, as there's a pitch high, 3-2 the count.
Long fly ball by
and a miss.
Castellanos.
As there's Garrett Cole has always considered himself to be a man of faith.
Yeah.
As there's a deep drive into left field by Castellanos, and that'll make it a 4-1 ball game. I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again.
That ball can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery because it's been tattooed.
I thought that was great.
Oh, by the way, it's not saying that Garrett Cole can't pay for it. I think he got paid pretty hefty, right?
Well, he's making $300 million on his contract. Right
He's
now.
making money A.J. Brown wants.
But the 13-inch MacBook Pro in space gray with 8 gigabytes of unified memory, that's not even the most of it, and 256 gigabyte SSD storage card, 600 of those, $779,000.
He'd be all right.
He'd be all right. In New York taxes, he need another
You
write-off.
can just buy them batteries and say,
peel it
wait, it's lithium. They're lithium. That's the best part.
They fell for it, though, Will.
Best part. So the moral of the story, it's 7:13 a.m. If you made a mistake like the Angels broadcaster, you got plenty of hours left in the day to fix it. So this is the message to you. Don't be the guy that gets got, especially not on the internet.
No.
Just don't do it.
But this is also the
Just
part
say
of
no.
why you got to be the breaking news guy all the time. Let the news flow out. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I really want to do the rest of this show now?
What's that?
Is act like I'm calling a baseball game. Just yeah, all right, and the 2-2 outside.
No, baby.
3 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, how was your night?
Swing and a miss. So Ryan Tannehill, 615-73.
Talking baseball? They all talk like that too when they're doing the game. I've watched
Got another clip. It's a parody of all radio broadcasters really sound like this, and it's a guy doing ad reads as puns.
We should.
I gotta play that too.
If
Yeah,
it's clean, we can do that.
it's good.
Baseball from college to pros all sounded like the analysts.
It's fantastic. 615-737-1045. Coming up next, Matt Duchene doing something a Predator has never done before last night. Big 2 points for the Preds. We'll do a little bit of a hockey minute.
1 minute, huh?
And a high fly ball.
That could not be any more
As
condescending.
there's a fly ball into left field.
That was Will channeling his inner Buck Rising.
And Castellanos under it, makes the catch, and one gone. I'm serious. I'm going to do this.
And Debo, we didn't talk about that. It's family.
Yeah,
Family
let's do that too.
ties. Ooh.
We got a little bit of hockey minute.
And right back to football after this next pitch.
Yes, there's the 3-2. Coming up next, 104.5 The Zone. Wednesday edition of JMart and Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons here in Nashville. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons garage doors. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to join the conversation. Alongside Ramon Foster, Will Bowling sitting in here for JMart again today.
That banger right there brought to you by Pooh Shiesty called Twerk Something.
Is that big game music?
Big, hey.
That's one of my favorite Ramon sayings. When he'll hear a good song and just say, hey, this is big game music.
Hell yeah.
Big game music.
Big game music,
that game we
man.
called together.
Yeah.
I was like driving in that game. I was like, all right, I got some big game music. And then, but you don't want to know what my big game music was.
We'll possibly do that
Because
again.
it probably sucks.
Well, no, the funny thing is I was like even being ironic with myself and playing like old like pop stuff. Like I was playing like Big Time Rush, like boy band stuff and being like big game music. Like this is NSYNC from the 90s, big game music.
Look, nothing
like
beats the
halfway
visual
jokingly.
of Mike Keith driving to the stadium, listening to Luda.
Yeah, for real. Luda. Yeah, nothing tops that. I'm gonna be real.
Oh, it's good. That is the thing though. Like
Mike Keith?
No, I always
Oh.
every like busy broadcast season that I get, I will give myself like one song that's like my most played song. It's like my theme of the season.
Mm-hmm.
It was Middle Child by J. Cole a couple years ago. Last year it was Punching the Clock, J. Cole.
Mm-hmm.
The little J. Cole. You know how much I love J.
Yeah,
Cole.
100%. My playlists have been pretty fire. And you know what? I call myself cutting costs, man, and I got rid of Spotify.
Did you really?
I did, man.
I'm not a Spotify guy.
My membership I got rid of because I had friggin' Apple Music, Spotify.
You have both?
I had Apple
Why
Music.
do you need both?
No, listen to me. Apple Music, Spotify, and what's the other one? The other music streaming one.
You didn't have Amazon.
No, I didn't have Amazon.
Tidal?
Not Tidal.
That's the one where
I signed up with
Kanye's
Tidal
album
and
came
ended
up.
it though, like within the month free trial.
Really?
I did do that. The oldest one. Golly.
I have no idea.
Yeah, you do.
Spotify was the oldest one.
Spotify, Pandora.
Oh, yeah.
I had paid prescription to Pandora too.
Pandora.
Pandora was fire. Well, let me say
Well,
this.
I know what it is.
2011 era of Ramon training. Okay, I would put on Spotify. I put on Master P, and I get all the similar music. And I was like, I'd be in the middle of a rep, and the daggone commercial come on. I'm like, come on. How am I going to get this off my chest? So I paid for it for a little while. My mother-in-law was using it too. Super cool.
I don't think of that as like streaming, though.
Spotify?
No, Pandora.
Oh,
I think of Pandora,
Pandora
as its own category.
No, Pandora's streaming.
I mean,
Well, I
is
know it
streaming.
is, but
Hell yeah.
I guess so.
But
that
you're
feels
aging
so long
yourself
ago.
too, though, Will. You're aging
You being an
yourself a little
ageist
bit.
again?
Yeah, he's been an ageist.
Being an ageist again?
Yep, he's been an ageist.
I was 14 in 2011.
Yeah, you definitely weren't listening. To
No, I actually
Pandora.
was. No, so I had
Aaron Rodgers.
That's a thank you. I got my first iPod Touch that year, and I had Pandora on my iPod Touch. I thought it was
Straight
really
up.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate that.
There's
by the
YouTube
way,
music
G.
now too.
See, G from T-Town. He put it on Pandora.
Oh, there you go.
Also, Cousin Dan in the Burrow. Everybody knew Pandora but you.
That's unfortunate.
I had
Really
to,
because
opened
Will's still
Pandora's.
in diapers.
You opened Pandora's box with that one.
Trash. But yeah, I had way too many paid subscriptions to those places, man. When Apple Music dropped the bomb, it's like, hey, we got this for you too.
I love Apple Music.
Pandora had to go.
I can tell Siri to play music for me, and she'll do it. I can't do that with Spotify.
Should at least ask politely.
I do.
Oh,
Of course.
take her out on
I'm
a
a
date
polite
first.
young man from
Yeah, you
around the
are.
way.
2 drinks.
Around the way.
Last night, Matt Duchene, the first 40-goal scorer in Nashville Predators history in a single season. Congratulations to him.
Nice, man. That's huge.
They needed a win last night in a big way.
Worst way. We didn't speak about the fact they gave up. I saw our guy Chris Martell referencing they gave up a franchise high.
They gave up a touchdown
Yeah.
and a loss to St.
St.
Louis over
in
the
one
weekend.
period.
And
7 in
yeah,
one period.
It was one period.
And that was the most ever in a singular period in Nashville Predators history.
Well, the
Yeah.
most scored in one period in Blues history, too.
2 records?
It was not great.
That's not great, Bob.
It was a rough night.
God.
Which that was actually funny. So that was Easter night, and they have a guy, the last name Rosen, who scored twice in that game. and the St. Louis Blues tweeted, "He has risen again" on Easter on their second goal. And I almost wanted to retweet it and say, I will never forgive the Nashville Predators for making the St. Louis Blues tweet this. It's just fantastic. Yes, you love it. You love it.
Quiet.
I'm hilarious.
Play the Drake again, Shay.
How deep I gotta dig for you to pipe down?
Shay has actually told you that more times than not. Like, Will, come better to the table with your jokes.
No,
man.
that wasn't my joke. It was the St. Louis Blues.
But you
got a whole hockey team to yell at. Don't just pick me.
But we didn't like how much you enjoyed it.
Oh, God. I didn't say I enjoyed it.
You laughed about it.
I enjoy being that guy. This is why I didn't have any friends in high school. That's why I was the bully in high school.
You did have plenty of friends. Will the bully, man.
Gosh, man.
Dog.
No, but the Predators get a shootout win. It was Matt Duchene's 900th game also as well in his NHL career.
900?
Yesterday. 900 games.
I thought I was doing something with 150 starts. What the hell did I do
That's
in my career?
That's a lot of knocked out teeth.
God,
is what that is.
Spitting chiclets.
Yeah.
Does he have all his teeth?
Matt Duchene?
Yeah,
I think so.
He does have all of them. So is it like I'm sure you know more about hockey than I do. So is it like frowned upon if you do wear like the face guard and mouthpiece?
I don't think so.
I don't think it's frowned
Something like,
upon.
is it a badge of honor?
Probably would have
to get
been
your
20 years ago.
Mouth knocked out of your face.
For some guys, it is.
It's your mouth knocked out of your
Take my teeth out your mouth.
Will Smith version.
Yeah, thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
See, I love when Ramon says it because it's MOUF.
Mouth.
It's mouth.
It's south.
Take my wife's name
Out your mouth.
out your mouth.
MOUF.
Mouth.
We had that conversation we needed to have. Like, I say 4.
Yeah.
I try to say 4.
Yeah.
It's dope.
JP's up in Pittsburgh would say truth.
Truth.
TROOF.
The truth. Like, hey, and then my boys even do it now. Yeah. Like, man, we're athletes with F's.
Athletes.
Multifaceted, okay?
Student athletes.
Student athletes.
Capitalize the student.
It's just how we talk. I know I've gotten
I'm gonna ask you this question. Still the best.
Axe. Like, I had somebody like call in about like, when is Ramon gonna say axe right? I'm like,
that person was being
You stupid idiot.
When your mama stopped calling me late.
Oh, hey,
That's when I stopped saying axe.
Hey, that's my mom you're talking about.
Hey, what? Hey, I tell
Ryan
people all
Miller.
the time, man, y'all got jokes, I throw them right back.
Man.
It's part of the game, okay? Axe. I say axe how I want to. You know what I'm saying.
Hey, can y'all do me a favor? Hold on to your drinks and your hats real quick because we just went off the rails. So just it's gonna you're a little bump.
You're right.
So just hold on to yourself.
Let's get
You know what
back.
that guy's wife called you, Mo?
What?
Daddy.
Yeah.
Oh wow! All right. Well, anyway,
I kid.
so-
I kid.
Not you got us serious.
Oh goodness. No, but the basically what the Predators got last night was a little bit of a preview of what they hope the first round of the playoffs will look like. Yeah. Because if they play themselves out of the first wild card spot, they're going to be playing the Colorado Avalanche, and that's not going to go very well for the Nashville Predators.
Colorado's on fire right now.
They are very, very good.
Dang.
The Predators are stuck in football terms in 9-7. The Predators are 8-8 every year.
How would you drop that 9-7?
But they are.
Man?
It's where they are.
Why you got to bring Jeff Fisher into this?
but-
No, I'm not bringing Jeff Fisher into it.
But you did.
Yes, you did.
It's like
We're not talking Michigan Panthers on the show today. What are we talking about? We're talking about the National Hockey
You're
League.
talking about 8-8.
And this has been longer than a minute.
By the way,
That's fine.
the pettiest jokes on the internet are on July 9th and August 8th. When they call them Jeff Fisher
or,
days.
September 7th.
Or September 7th.
Why?
It's 7 and 9, 8 and 8.
I
9
can
and
think of
7.
7 to 9 reasons why.
Come on.
It's so bad.
We're the flagship. Come on, man.
One of my favorites.
I'm not saying we do it.
No.
That's what they do.
The people.
The same
The
people
internet.
that are calling A.J. Brown a bad teammate and all this other stuff, those are the same people
Look,
that do that crap.
What Jeff Fisher did after the salary cap hell that Titans team was in, the people that's the problem is the people that are making the jokes about Jeff Fisher being 9-7 don't know that how much he overachieved with some teams that were in salary cap hell and had to get rid of a whole lot of money.
He won with Kerry Collins.
Don't you be disrespecting Kerry.
I
just
like
gonna
Kerry,
go
but
there.
let's, I mean,
With
Take
all
the hate
due
out your voice,
respect.
please.
I
Thank you.
mean, I'm just,
I feel like we
Not great, Bob.
We gotta say with all due
favorite.
respect. But, you know, we
No, we're
Respectfully.
not saying with all due respect, because when you say with all due respect, what is followed by with all due respect is disrespect.
And you can hear that weekdays from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone of the Buck Rising Show.
yeah, Buck is good.
Because 90% of the things that Buck says starts with respectfully and is given with the least amount of respect you could possibly
And to
give.
go behind the curtain, I had the door to the studio open. I said that, and our friend Sleazy at 92Q heard me say that when he was walking down the hall and just went, ah!
Shout out to Sleazy, man. Shout out to Sleazy. And 92Q, man.
I'm telling you, though, the Nashville Predators at this point, they have got the Norris Trophy winner in Roman Josi.
Yeah.
They've got the best defenseman in hockey. They've got their first ever 40-goal scorer. Philip Forsberg has 39 goals.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way it always works, is that you don't pass a huge milestone for such a long time, and then you get two guys that do it at the same time. It's always the way it works.
So let me ask you this: the makeup of this hockey team and the Preds, with that, with all of that you just said, is, I don't want to call it selfishness of their play, these accolades. Is that the reason why the skid has happened? Like, I got mine. Y'all better figure out how to win these games. That's not it.
No, I
I'm just
wouldn't say
asking because I don't know, Shay.
I think there was maybe a little bit more of that when the entire Preds core all got big contracts at the same time.
Yeah.
But I think they've now underachieved since getting those deals for a couple of years.
Okay.
That's not as much of an issue at this point.
Huh.
I think it's the fact that they will never commit to being a buyer or a seller. That is the issue.
That's the issue for the Preds.
And so they're
right
stuck
now.
in purgatory.
Man, that's.
But,
Let me. So the other side of this is, do they care? You know, meaning, and I say that in a point to where I feel like the cities that really have it, and I feel like Nashville is getting to the point where they have it. You almost think, well, man, I want to be in the show with everybody and everything that's moving around the city. And it seems like teams sometimes just say, well, they're going to show up anyway.
No, they've tried.
They've tried.
They just
Okay.
haven't constructed a team well enough to do it.
they love marketing the fact that they are one of two teams to make the Stanley Cup playoffs for now 7 straight years, with them and the Pittsburgh Penguins being the only two teams to make the playoffs every year in that span. And I feel like they love the Saturday night in Smashville, there's nothing like a playoff home game in Smashville, that they're going to do whatever it takes to give the fans that atmosphere, knowing that the way you actually compete is by ripping the bandage off and not having that opportunity for a year or two. I'm not saying that people marketing the Predators are the reason why they're, that's not what I'm saying. Don't get it twisted. Don't put the cart before the horse.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But you get a lot of that kind of mentality, I think, out of that team, for better or worse.
And it
Just
sounds like
the-
it's for worse right now.
That's the vibe that I get.
Yeah. Like I do hate that. Being respectfully, yeah. Being a former athlete, that's a part of me that I've always, especially when I've played on teams before, and it's just like, we're competing. How come you guys aren't? And it's the other part for me that's like, you got pros on this team that most of them, all they've done has win or been the best on their team.
Right.
So why wouldn't management, ownership find a way to get on the same page and say, look, everybody wins? You know what I'm saying? Like, especially here, look how this town, no, screw that. This city sold out for this team. Like, the press, if they're being real about it, they jump-started this entertainment section of Nashville.
They did, in a lot of ways. And they could still go on a run. 2017, they were the 8th seed, still time, but certainly something to keep an eye on in the coming weeks. When we come back, Ramon, I'm going to let you talk about offensive line.
Oh, you walk in this room with me, Will.
Duke Manyweather, OL Masterminds, is with us. I want to get into a couple of the prospects the Titans could grab at number 26, including a raw tackle who would be closer to what Isaiah Wilson should have been as a Tennessee Titan, and the best guard available that I think is the pick for the Titans at number 26. So I'm going to ask Duke Manyweather about those two guys. We'll get his thoughts on some of the current Titans as well. That's next. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Say you want a Ford Explorer with a great sound system, a sunroof, and co-pilot assist in Atlas Blue. Guess what? Two Rivers Ford can order that for you. Or maybe you want a truck. I'm a truck guy. I got an F-250. Well, maybe now I want an F-150 XLT in Oxford White with a tow technology package. Two Rivers Ford can order that for me and for you also. Two Rivers Ford can now custom order the exact new Ford you want in any color, any trim level, with any available features. And all you have to do is reach out to one of their non-commissioned salespeople, and they'll walk you right through the process. Or if you don't want to go to the dealership, that's fine. You can do it all yourself online by clicking the custom order tab at tworiversford.com. At Two Rivers Ford, you'll always find honest, upfront prices and non-commissioned salespeople. And don't forget this, Two Rivers Ford always has the max trade-in guarantee. So let's recap a little bit. At Two Rivers Ford, you can get exactly what you want at a great price. Awesome. You get top dollar for your trade, even better, and you work with non-commissioned salespeople who aren't going to press you into buying anything. Does it get any better than that? Well, yes, it does, because Two Rivers Ford is also a locally owned business that's been right here in Tennessee since 1983 with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. So what are you waiting for? Go custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford today. Go holler at the people I know. Two Rivers Ford.
JMart and Ramon, powered by all four seasons here on 104.5 The Zone. Great to have you with us on this Wednesday edition. Alongside NFL veteran Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, our producer. I'm Will Bowling, sitting in for Jason Martin this morning. And Ramon, it is time to talk about your people. It is time to talk a little bit of offensive line. And joining us on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline to do just that is Duke Manyweather of OL Masterminds of Offensive Line Scouting and Development. Good morning, Duke. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, guys.
Good morning, Duke. How are you this morning, man?
I'm doing really well. How about you?
Man, we're good. Duke, I'm glad to have you on. Will brought you in. And I just got to kick it off by asking you this, man. I'm sure you have to be proud of where the O-line focus has been these last few years. One, it's been great for you and the things that you do. You and Jeff Schwartz did the O-line, you and everything behind that. But just the focus point on what it means to have a good team starts in the trenches. How's that been watching this kind of evolve?
It's a really good feeling. I always say this. Kind of Nipsey Hussle quote, if you want to change the game, never change the message. And so we try to keep our message very clear on this end in terms of elevating offensive line play and making sure that we're educating people and we're bringing people along on a journey, so to speak, about the nuances of just simple things on the proper stance and how to pick up a twist. So now when we start to see this stuff more mainstream and the focal point is there, man, it's a really good feeling. We got the Big Boys Club Season 2 that is going to be dropping this Sunday on YouTube, the full episode, and then it'll air twice next week on Draft Week on FS1. So stay tuned for that. It just really gives you a behind-the-scenes look on what the position is about, what the personality is about inside the offensive line room, and some of the nuances that it takes to be successful at the position, man. So, Ramon, I know you're proud about it. I couldn't be prouder about, the focal point in the spotlight being on the big guys, that we're more than just big, sloppy guys. We're athletes, and, we're very cerebral in what we do.
And there are a lot of really good athletes in that group in this NFL draft class. And, Duke, I wanted to start with Zion Johnson out of Boston College, a guy that a lot of Titans fans have looked at with that first pick at number 26. How would he fit with a running scheme the Tennessee Titans have and blocking for Derrick Henry? What would make Zion Johnson a cultural fit with the group that Mike Vrabel has here in Tennessee?
Yeah, I think Zion Johnson is the top guard in the draft this year. I think that he brings a tremendous skill set in terms of what he's able to do with his hand placement and then also his displacement in the run game. He's very technically sound, very powerful in the lower body, long arms, which – I'm not a proponent of saying that long arms are the end-all, be-all, but he's able to use those in conjunction with his hands and create leverage in the run game and in pass protection. He's a guy that he has some Roger Saffold to him. When Roger was rolling and healthy, you could see some of that in Zion's game. So I'm excited to see where he ends up, and I think he'll be a great fit in the Titans offense playing right next to Lawan. I think the Titans are in a interesting situation here with taking, the kid from North Dakota State last year, and he wasn't an immediate starter at right tackle like they expected him to be. He's kind of kicked around the interior, but I think you need to go ahead and solidify that interior presence with a guy like Zion Johnson. And then you got to understand that you don't pick again until what? I think the third
90.
round.
Right.
So, yeah. So you got to get it right. You got to get it right. I've seen people talk about potentially a quarterback in the first round, but I think you got to kind of address that interior O-line. I don't think you see the Titans take another tackle that high because, quite frankly, you look at with Isaiah Wilson, that didn't pan out, and then with Dylan Rasdon, that didn't quite pan out to what you thought it would, at the tackle position. So I think now you probably got to go interior O-line and really hope that some guys develop where you can end up putting them at right tackle. That void that was left by Jack Conklin is being felt even a couple of years later.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's an interesting discussion, Duke, on the kind of offensive lineman the Tennessee Titans are looking for, because John Robinson have loved the bigger guys, the maulers in the run game. in kind of what Isaiah Wilson he had hoped would bring to that team at right tackle in the draft a couple of years ago. When you look at what this Titans team needs with Taylor Lewan on the left, with Ben Jones, with Nate Davis, do the Titans need an offensive lineman that can major a little bit more in pass protection, or do you feel like the Titans are looking for a like-for-like replacement for Roger Saffold, like you mentioned? I'm curious if there's a fit there where the Titans need to go more with a pass protector just based on the other guys that they have in that group right now.
Well, I don't think you look at it from that aspect. I'm a firm believer that whether you're talking about a gap scheme offense, whether you're talking about a zone offense, you want to get an offensive lineman that checks the technical box in terms of critical factors. When you get those guys that check that box, they can play in any scheme and they can do a whole lot of stuff for your offense. So when I look at Zion, he kind of checks that box in terms of physical traits, critical factors, and then the entire technique, which makes him a fit as a really good pass protector, and then he could be really a game changer in the run game. So I think you get the best of both worlds with that pick, and you can't say that for a lot of other guys at guard this year in this year's draft.
Duke, man, when you get these guys, man, and you get vets that come to you for technique critiques, and of course you get the young draft prospects that come to you also. When you get the young guys, man, what's the one thing that you have to fix with them? Because now it's become very pass happy. Do you work on that more? Do you have to show them like this is the proper way to adjust to the run game? Rolling your hips, like those are the questions we have, because as much as an air raid all leagues have become, what are you doing to reinforce their technique in the run game and also in the pass game?
That's a great question, and it's a laundry list of things, and it's not so much reinventing the wheel with it. We start from the ground up, whether we're talking about pass protection and run blocking. It first starts about teaching guys how to get into a proper stance, and then making sure that their stance is functional out of a 2-point and a 3-point, and that they're able to run and pass block out of that functional stance. That's really the key point that we try to drive home, because we say if your stance is changing all the time, how do you know where your angle is going to be at in the run game? And then how do you know where your angle and your your spot is going to be at in pass pro if your stance and your footwork is off all the time? So just getting these guys to realize that from the ground up, it starts with the stance and how you start, and then your angle of departure, whether you're playing guard, tackle, or center. And then one of the big things that we always try to clean up, though, is just the hand usage. So many guys want to throw their hands, and it's more about being patient. One of the things that we talk about all the time at the O-Line Mastermind Summit is that defenders are going to attack whatever you present to them. So if you can constantly switch up what you're presenting, or they can't key in and find a cluster in your movement from what you're presenting, then that really throws off. They got to go to their second or third move, which they don't like to do a lot of times. So we just try to keep a holistic approach from the ground up in pass protection in the run game. It starts with identifying who they are and strength and uniqueness. I don't really focus too much on their weaknesses. I try to find what makes them unique and what they're really, really good at. And then we take that to build out the areas for improvement instead of trying to force feed things that they're probably not going to retain that we consider a weakness because we think that they need to know it. It's like, let's find a unique way and a way that, may be able to replicate over and over again to kind of cover up that blemish. And that has worked really well for a lot of guys, because the fact of the matter is, as coaches and developers, we need to identify, like I said, what makes these guys unique and special and continue to build that out. Because if we try to fit, so to speak, a square peg in a round hole, or however the cliche goes, then chances are you're starting to diminish that strength and diminish that uniqueness of the individual, when if they could grasp that concept and be able to replicate it over and over again, they would have probably already done it. But the fact of the matter is you identify that they haven't done it and that they can't do it. So let's try to move on and find a way for them to get the same job done in a different manner. And I think, Ramon, you played a lot of damn football, so you, out of all people, can tell kind of the general public that all this is fine and dandy when you write it on the board, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to take what makes you unique and special and find a way to get a guy blocked.
Yes, indeed, man. Duke, we could go on forever, man.
Yeah, we
We're
could.
up against the break, and you know this gets me going like it gets you going, dog. Golly. So much is left on the table for this conversation.
Yeah, Duke, we really appreciate the time, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys be on the lookout for Big Boys Club Season 2.
Yes, sir.
We've got Evan Neal, Charles Cross, Trevor Penning, Darian Kennard, and Andrew Stubert as the features this year. It'll be out on YouTube Sunday night, and then it'll be on FS1 next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, and then the night before the draft on FS1. So we're excited about it, and then stay tuned for the Mastermind IPA beer coming out soon, too.
Yeah.
So,
I like it.
Yep.
Duke Manyweather has been our guest here on JMart and Ramon. Great stuff breaking down the film and some of the guys that are good fits here in Tennessee. Really appreciate it.
no problem. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks for having me.
All right, There is Duke Manyweather on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. When we come back, halftime of the show, and we start the second half strong. Headlines out of the break. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
As leaders in disaster cleanup and restoration, the pros at ServPro are prepared for anything. Like when a relief valve on your water heater fails, pouring gallons of water into your finished basement. Guess what? ServPro is prepared for it. Or when an electrical shortage in your office causes extensive smoke and water damage. ServPro is prepared for that too. Or that musty odor indicates you might have a mold problem. ServPro is prepared for that too. You need a lot more than help sometimes just cleaning up, and that's why ServPro is your one-stop shop when disaster strikes. Not only do they have the equipment and expertise to clean up damage from fire, water, or mold, but they also offer a variety of construction services ranging from drywall patching and document drawing all the way to complete structure rebuilds. There's just one call you need to make to bring your home or business back as good as new and as soon as possible. So if you're in need of cleanup from fire, water, or any unpleasant event, ServPro is always ready to help. Call ServPro and the official downtown Nashville operators at 800-ServPro to see how we can help you get back to like it never even happened. The number is 800-SERVPRO. That's ServPro, cleaning, restoration, and construction, and franchises are independently owned and operated.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. National Predators big-time win last night at Bridgestone Arena. Gutted it out over the Calgary Flames. 3-2 win in a shootout. With those 2 points for the Predators, they are currently in possession of the first wildcard slot in the Western Conference, 2 points ahead of Dallas. They have 5 games remaining on the season. History was made when Matt Duchene scored his 40th goal of the campaign, becoming the first player in franchise history to score 40 goals in a season. Philip Forsberg, his teammate, not far behind. He has scored 39, including that 39th goal last night. Memphis defeated the T-Wolves 124-96 in Grind City. Memphis tied up their series of 1 game apiece. John Morant, 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 10 assists. To baseball, late night on the West Coast, the Braves over the Dodgers 3-1. Braves with 12 hits, Dodgers just 2. Walker Buehler, former Vandy standout, took the loss for the Dodgers. Tennessee Vols adding 4-star outside linebacker Caleb Herring, the 8th commitment to the 2023 class. He's the number 1 recruit in the state, the Riverdale High School product, the younger brother of 2022 signee linebacker Elijah Herring. For all foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Start of the second half, hour number 3 on JMart and Ramon, powered by all 4 seasons, 104.5 The Zone. The first possession of the third quarter tells you all you need to know about how the game is going to end. We're taking it to the end zone, by God, alongside Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, our producer, Will Bowling here with you.
Why are you being that host?
Being what?
Why are you being that host? We don't roll like that around
What host?
here. That host.
What
You know exactly. That first possession of the third quarter. Dude, we're doing the right show, man. We're good.
Well, you know, there's the 2-2.
We're gonna knock the Brockmeyer right out of you.
A little bit inside.
Yeah.
Ball goes up and in. 2-2.
We don't
Honesty
do that
on this show, dude.
Man, I mean, just seriously.
We don't have time for that.
It's
man.
not for the weak, man.
Yeah.
Will.
So the first possession of the second half doesn't matter?
No, you
thought
just don't
you
even say
fumbled.
first possession. You just move on.
He's basically saying you fumbled. You threw a first play
I
pick.
did.
You threw a first play
I didn't
pick.
see the safety working down on the weak side of the formation,
I knew
walking
you know.
down.
I knew you knew how to pick up what I was putting.
I know where the joke can go from here, but we're not going to do it.
Oh, he already did it.
0 days.
The joke got intercepted. Coming up in 15 minutes, we talk with Robert Mays of The Athletic. A little bit more Tom Brady news yesterday that was interesting.
How, Tommy boy?
Seems like we're doing this every week, and this week it's Brady's week. Next week it'll be something with Aaron Rodgers. Tomorrow, Aaron Rodgers takes center stage on JMart and Ramon. That's neither here nor there at this point. Bucs general manager Jason Light saying yesterday that despite reports that Tom Brady was prepared to be a minority owner of the Miami Dolphins and to play for them, that he and Tom Brady had no discussions about that. And they have not discussed sealing Brady with a new contract. So basically, Tom Brady was going to be in a Derek Jeter situation where he was going to be calling the shots and have a partial stake in the Miami Dolphins. And then the Brian Flores lawsuit begins, and the Boston Globe reports that basically went out the window of Brady being a minority owner.
Wow.
As soon as the Brian Flores lawsuit began. So that killed those dreams, according to a report from the Boston Globe. Do we really believe that this was a thing? I don't.
If you're asking me, I do.
Really?
Yeah. Just simply because what's next for Tom? Why would Giselle be okay with him coming back into the fold? You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna
But
say it's okay
while he's
for him.
playing?
Owner?
Yeah.
I can see Tom doing that. I can see. Let's be real. We've seen LeBron be a player, have influence on roster moves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And as far as like investments in teams, I mean, Patrick Mahomes owns parts of the Royals. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a far-fetched idea. I don't know if we had a football player do this, but who's the amount of money and influence and power that players have, players that can pull that type of power.
Right.
Now, that's one thing I've been saying. Like, a lot of the things that you do in life, well, I didn't know I couldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? It's the old Chappelle saying, if I didn't know I couldn't be a part of ownership and make those moves because I do know I can do that, then why wouldn't I, Will?
I'm just looking forward to hearing what actually has been going on behind closed doors in Tampa in 10 years when Tom Brady makes another tell-all documentary about these things.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm with you, G, from T-Town. It's like it's a season of lies. But what's next for Tom Brady? How do you entice Tom Brady? If we've already heard that, what's their name? Bob Ross? Not Bob Ross, the owner. I get it, Stephen Ross.
Stephen Ross.
From the
Bob
Dolphins.
Ross is a painter.
Yeah, he was. R.I.P. to a legend. But if the conversation was had that Stephen Ross went to Flores and said, "Hey, look, I'll incentivize you to lose. Also, you had a relationship with Tom Brady. Can't you get him to Miami?"
Right.
You don't think Stephen Ross would also consider giving him a piece? Marshawn Lynch just got a piece of the Seattle Kraken.
I think it makes sense for,
You know?
I think it definitely makes sense for Miami.
Yeah, for Miami, 100% it makes sense.
Then you're playing kind of chess in a fantasy world of Tom Brady's going to own this team, yet his rights are still owned by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Cool. Now, Shafe, you got a little bit more knowledge in this than I do. Was it Gretzky or who was it with not Gretzky, but with the Penguins?
Mario Lemieux.
Mario Lemieux.
Yeah, Mario Lemieux.
What was part of his contract? Because they couldn't pay him. He got part of the team, did he not?
Yeah, but it's not the same situation.
It's not the same situation.
No, because the team went into bankruptcy.
And they couldn't afford to pay him. Okay.
So the team
declare bankruptcy. All right, sorry.
So the team went into bankruptcy.
A lot of office.
And he was still owed that money.
Mm-hmm.
But what he ended up doing was finding a financial partner in Ron Burkle to then buy the team. He was not offered ownership in the team in order to be a part of his contract as a player. So it's not the same situation.
A little different. But with that being said, when you ask up, is this far-fetched? It's an investment.
The NFL owners are not going to allow for another player to get an ownership equity into a team while they're playing. They're not going to do it. No.
I don't think so.
No.
Not even Tom.
Not even Tom.
I think it makes
I ain't
sense
saying
for
you're
the
wrong. I'm playing the
because it's about power. It's about power.
It is
the Dolphins are the one
power.
team that would vote yes on
Yeah.
The Dolphins are.
But they've got their own problems.
And which is why I said it was probably presented. Whether it was going to happen or not, I know I'm kind of moving the goalposts on this. Whether it was going to happen or not, that's yet to be seen or heard of.
It's dolphin endangerment.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Patrick Mahomes has investments in teams, and I believe the MLS team is one of the ones that Patrick Mahomes has made a minority investment in terms of ownership and getting equity in that team. Kansas City Chiefs weren't saying, "Hey, it's just
he got Royals too, right?
He may have.
No, I'm
okay.
pretty sure.
Yeah, that may be another one.
Yep.
But I'll say this too. To say that we used to get the pamphlets, the booklets that they sell for way too much money in game days. I'd always look at them because I get to the stadium super early and stuff like that. Miami, if you look at their minority, I think the Williams sisters are. I'm pretty sure Jeter is. They have I think Shakira or some pop star, J-Lo, like they have a bunch of celebrity investors, So it ain't far-fetched that Miami present that to them probably as a way to influence them to come to Miami.
Let's quickly go to the phones. Go to Brian. We've been talking about Ryan Tannehill a little bit this morning. Yes. Brian wants to weigh in. What's going on, Brian? Good morning.
What's up, Brian? Good morning.
Hey, good morning to you guys. I want to just say what a great show you have, and Buck as well on his show. You guys have incredible radio, and we really appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. The thing I just wanted to comment on is when I grew up, I'm 52, we had get teams like the Dallas Cowboys, guys like Staubach, Randy White, the Manster. These guys didn't make a lot of money in today's terms, but they would beat you to death. And I watched them as a kid walk off with broken fingers and blood, running down their face. And they put everything they had. And then there'd be a kids' day, and they were on the kids' day. They had their face in the community. It seemed like they took pride, whether they lost or they won. These guys were there, and they were to be counted on. And when you take teams that get these guys make the money they do, some hundreds of millions, some tens, and 20 whatever million they are, and they're asked to come out and play a game that they love, that most would play for free. Most of the guys love it that much, and these guys are making these monster contracts.
Yep.
And then we look at Tannehill. It's nobody's fault that he played like he did. There's lots of variables. We all would agree on that, but no one made him throw those bad plays. I just think the man failed. So what I want to see, since I'm now a diehard Titans guy, I want to see my leader, my captain guy, stand up like the stallbacks of the past and not be silent in the media since that game and not show up to volunteer workouts. When I heard Kevin Byard say, I'm the leader of this team, and I wanted to come on those volunteer days to talk and encourage and lead my current guys on, I listened to him and I said, "Dadgummit, I could follow him. I can get on board with that." But when you have the quarterback of your team, which is supposed to be your captain, and he's all jolly and doing his thing back when contracts got paid, when the money was big, he was all over the place. But it's almost like a pouting superstar. I didn't get my way. The fans don't believe in me anymore. So I'll just take my umpteen millions of dollars and I'll just stay out of the media. Well, that's fine if you're a narcissist and that's your view. But there's fans here that love this team. And wouldn't it be a great time for a guy like that to say to the fans, I dropped the ball, decisions were made, good, bad, and different, no pun intended. But, guys, we're going to win this year. Yeah. We're going to pull it together, have some type of morale. But I don't see the heart in these guys that I used to see in the Randy Whites and, the Staubachs and some of those guys. I just don't see the heart. Has the money gotten so large that it's robbed the sport of the heart to be a winner and to care about your community and to care about people that's watching? These people pay a lot of money to watch these guys.
Thank you for the call, Brian.
There ought to be some responsibility. Thank you.
No doubt. That was very well said, Brian.
Appreciate the call.
I got opinions on both sides of it for sure.
I think a lot of people are with him. Absolutely. Right in that corner. Yeah. We've heard from a lot of them today.
Yeah.
Not a big deal, but I think there's a point to be made on either side there. Yeah. All right, let's get a break. Let's come back and talk with Robert Mays of The Athletic. We'll get his thoughts on where the Titans stand in the A.J. Brown situation. I want to ask him the question, who signs first? Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, or A.J. Brown? We'll get his thoughts on that. Much more coming up. Robert Mays of The Athletic on 104.5 The Zone. JMart and Ramon, powered by all four seasons here on 104.5 The Zone. Great to have you with us, Wednesday edition. Alongside Ramon Foster, I'm Will Bowling, sitting in for Jason Martin here this morning. And we are pleased to be joined on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline by Robert Mays of The Athletic, talking Titans, talking NFL headlines. Good morning, Robert. How are you?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Good morning.
We are doing good, and lots of Ryan Tannehill, lots of A.J. Brown discussion today because, Robert, people in this city are just sitting on edge, ready to be heard again every time A.J. Brown hits the tweet button, and people are losing their ever-loving minds in this city right now.
The whole thing is just so strange to me. I have to assume that it's in the interest of both parties to get this done. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's how old? I think he's 24 years old,
24.
probably. He's been one of the best receivers in the league this entire time. And I think it's important to remember, and I'm going straight to like naughty nonsense here, but when you look at something like the Devontae Adams scenario or the Tyreek Hill scenario, those guys are 29. This is third contract type stuff for them. For Devontae, it might be number 4. His career has been so strange because that's how they developed that position up there. But those are 29-year-old guys on their third deals. The 3-year cash flow on Tyreek's new contract is something like $52 million. That's not the case when you're A.J. Brown coming off a rookie deal and you're 24. I just think it's a different conversation. I don't think we've reached this world where every single receiver that starts hitting free agency is going to get shipped out of town. To me, it's a little bit of apples and oranges when you're comparing the Debo, DK, A.J. Brown situation to the ones that we've already seen. So in these scenarios, and this offseason has kind of changed my thinking on this a little bit because you got to be on your toes, I always lean toward what seems like the most likely thing to happen. And I think the most likely thing to happen is the Titans sign a really, really good 24-year-old player at a premium position to a contract that satisfies both sides.
It makes a lot of sense, and we appreciate you talking sense into the good people of Nashville, Tennessee, because when you talk about Derrick Henry being out last year, you talk about Ryan Tannehill's future being uncertain beyond this season, where he's certainly going to be the quarterback in 2022. Doesn't it just make sense that the future of your franchise and the future cornerstone of your offense would be, like, I don't know, maybe the top 10 wide receiver that's in his early 20s? Like, what about that can people here not grasp? Like, I guess it is just the Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams part of it, but it feels like A.J. Brown is the next face of this offense because Derrick Henry is not going to run for, 1,600 yards forever, and Ryan Tannehill might not be here in a couple of years.
We did a draft last year on our podcast, and it was you picked non-quarterbacks for the next 5 years, and you took contracts into account. It's an important thing to remember. I took A.J. Brown 4th.
Wow.
Among all the players in the league that aren't quarterbacks, not among receivers, among every single guy. Because that's how good I think he is. And you want players like that on your team, no matter what the next 2 years looks like. Let's play out a hypothetical. Let's say the Titans, because this is, I think, potentially on the board, they pick a quarterback at 26. Let's say it's Desmond Ridder, whoever. Don't you want, when that guy steps into year 2 of his rookie deal next year after Ryan Tannehill is gone, him in the best situation possible to succeed? And wouldn't that include A.J. Brown, who is now a lot easier to pay with a much more palatable contract if you're paying a rookie quarterback money? I mean, I think a lot of different reasons, a lot of different avenues, it makes sense for A.J. Brown to be on this team for the next several years.
Oh, 100%. And I don't think, nobody has any objections to it. It's just the power that we're seeing these guys kind of grab right now, Rob, simply because as high-flying offenses have really ascended to the top in all levels of football, the wide receiver power struggle has actually grown too. We're seeing this from all the guys right now that are looking for a deal, Rob. When did we start getting to this point where you got guys going into year 4 saying, pay me now?
I think that part is new, but I can understand that. You don't want to be going into the last year of a rookie contract when you don't know what's going on here. I mean, I think I can completely understand that with some of these guys that are nearing the end. Is this the last year of his rookie deal? I can't remember.
He's going into it, yeah.
He's going into it, and I think Debo and DK are the exact same way.
Yep.
What a crazy rookie draft, right?
Yeah.
I can understand wanting some security, But I can also understand, even if, I don't know, what's the future in Tennessee? Do I fit here? Do I fit somewhere else? Do I want to play with a different quarterback? Here's 4 years, $100 million with $85 million guaranteed is a hard thing to say no to.
Right.
So I think ultimately the money is going to talk in a lot of these scenarios. And I think that's part of why it didn't happen. The Packers situation is unique, right? I mean, by all accounts, Devontae didn't want to play there anymore. And that is a whole different thing. And, that's an ongoing scenario where he's been there for years and they franchise tagged him and some bad blood kind of crept up there. But with A.J. Brown, with Tyreek Hill, that's a money thing. They did not want to give him that deal. As soon as the Devontae Adams contract happened, I don't think anybody in that building was willing to say, I'm going to put my name on a $25, $27 million a year contract for a 29-year-old speed receiver when we're paying our quarterback 17% of the salary cap. It's just a different situation to me with some of these young guys. And I do think that you could make an argument that Seattle's in a slightly different place if they're figuring out what their rebuild looks like and they don't know if DK is necessarily a part of that. But I think with both of the situations in San Francisco and Tennessee, each of those, they're incentivized to get this thing done. And apparently with the Devo thing, there's a layer of complication just because he might not want to be there. So I do think that I want to dictate my own future part of this is a little bit different, and I think that's ideas worth exploring, why we've arrived at that moment in the NFL. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it changes player dynamics a little bit. I also think that if someone puts a $100 million contract on a table, those things are still hard to say no to, no matter how slighted you might feel by the process up to that point.
Rob, we got a little ongoing joke here at the station and really around the city, man. It's been 0 days since Ryan Tannehill has received some slander from the fan base or whatever. And I want to ask you, you're a very smart guy, man. You know the game, been around the game too. Why is it important for your franchise guy to come out and speak and say something to the fan base about this? With, the money that's been paid out at almost every team, the quarterback is numero uno as far as the pecking order go. Is it important for him to do it to you, or does it not matter?
I don't know if it necessarily matters. I do think it's important, and you may think differently about this, Ramon. I think that it's important for the quarterback to set the tone organizationally within the building. I think that is hugely important. I think your quarterback needs to be the emotional center of your team in some ways, not necessarily as a rah-rah guy, but like, this is the work that we put in when we're here. This is how we approach this job. This is what the feeling is like within the building because of that, because all eyes are on him. And that goes beyond just players. I think that when your quarterback sets an organizational tone for every single person he interacts with, it does change what work is like day to day for teams. I think that everyone in the building sleeps easier when they know they have that guy to rely on, both on the field and off the field. I don't necessarily know if that guy needs to be out front and center as the mouthpiece for an organization. The example I'm thinking of right now, I don't know if Justin Herbert is ever going to be that guy. But in Los Angeles, it's interesting because they have a head coach who's more than willing to be that guy. Even with the other team in LA right now, Matthew Stafford's not that person. He doesn't have that personality as far as interactions with the media and being out with that. He does have it in the building, and they have a coach that I think is willing to take on that I speak for the organization type of tone. And I think Tennessee is similar. Mike Vrabel is one of those guys with one of those personalities. So I don't know if you necessarily need to be the face of your organization in any public-facing way, even if I do think you need to be the one that dictates how the organization and the building runs when you're there.
Robert Mays of The Athletic with us here on JMart and Ramon. It's an interesting discussion about what the Titans need to make Ryan Tannehill comfortable as well on that offense. And you look at what the Titans do, they typically don't replace a veteran that has left until 2 years later. I mean, they replaced Jarrell Casey with kind of really Danico Autry a couple years later. Logan Ryan, they draft Elijah Molden a couple years later. And one guy they never really replaced last year was Adam Humphries. They never really had that guy in the slot who was consistent to help Ryan Tannehill in that position. Where do you rank his weapons, another guy like a Jahan Dotson, or a slot receiver in the first round? Or how much do you just need that guy to be upright? And are you looking at an offensive lineman for Ryan Tannehill? Where do you kind of rank those priorities for this team right now?
I think you can go either way. I mean, when it comes to slot receivers and that role within the Titans offense, especially now that they have Robert Woods, I don't know if you necessarily need someone you would peg as a slot receiver because A.J. Brown can work in the slot. Robert Woods can work in the slot. I think if you're thinking about receiver and wanting to live more in 11 personnel, which they did transition to at times last year compared to what they were under Arthur Smith, it could be any kind of receiver you feel good about.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at that offensive line, it's hard not to just see that big blinking light now that Roger Saffold is gone. I mean, obviously he was getting toward the end, but as a run blocker, he still gave them a ton. And where they're picking there at 26, I mean, guys like Kenyon Green from Texas A&M are potentially going to be there. And that marriage, I think, just makes a lot of sense. I can also understand where picking a left guard in the first round is not the most exciting thing for an entire fan base. But
hey, Mays, no left guard slander, man.
Listen,
any other position.
It's exciting to me.
Okay.
I would be thrilled if my team were picking a left guard in the first round. But I'm not sure that most of the people down in Nashville would feel the same way. So they could go a bunch of different ways. And I also you look at the defense, here's the thing that always worries me when you think about team building, when you think about the trajectory of teams. I loved the Titans defense last year.
Mm-hmm.
Thought they were really well coached. Thought that what they did defensively was just really sound and hard to predict. And the way they lined up had no bearing on what they were going to play. They were all over the place in a way that I thought really led to them outperforming. They were more than the sum of their parts, I guess is what I would say. But you can't rely on that sort of trajectory defensively. You always need to inject it with something a little bit new. And we'll see, what happens in the secondary with, some of the moving pieces out there now. And at linebacker, Zach Cunningham played well last year. Do you feel like you need a little bit more pop there? I mean, I just think that you have to always be thinking about what can I splash into this defensive recipe to make sure that I'm keeping it fresh. So I think that offense is definitely the bigger priority, but in the back of my mind, if I were a Titans fan, I would just be thinking, what do we need to do to kind of keep this thing going and play at the level we did for most of last year?
And that level thing you speak of, you say you love the defense. They incorporated a guy last year to help assist them and reassuring it. Now it's Tim Kelly on offense. Where do you look at a guy like him helping this passing game to get this offense back on track to where they were in 2020 when they had Arthur Smith?
Well, it's interesting because they had such a defined offensive philosophy and recipe under Arthur Smith, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a downhill running team who lived off play action. I mean, that's what they did. And it was beautiful. I mean, watching that offense, it's funny, you're talking to coaches every year, every spring, asking them what they watched. Who were they watching? And the amount of teams last year where they would just offhand be like, I was watching the Titans passing game. I was watching the Titans play action game because we wanted to see what we could incorporate there. I mean, that was something that people around the league were watching. And I think that under Todd Downing, whose background is very different than that offense, and now you get Tim Kelly, who comes from an even different place. I mean, Tim Kelly was in Houston in an offense that is very different than the background that Todd Downing comes from. Mm-hmm. Todd Downing is a Scott Linehan, West Coast kind of guy. Tim Kelly comes from that Bill O'Brien, Earhart Perkins, Patriots-based offense. So I always think that stuff is good just because when you have different people from different offensive systems in the building, I think you just have more answers to more problems potentially. Yeah. It's like, well, when on third down, this is the concept that we like because da-da-da-da-da. Oh, well, we call that this, and I think that if we incorporate something like that, I always enjoy that. I think that pushing your belief systems and pushing the things that you rely on either side of the ball and trying to fold new ideas in there in order to give yourselves more answers, that's never a bad thing in my mind.
Robert Mays of The Athletic has been our guest here on JMart and Ramon. Always good stuff. Great to catch up with you, Robert. Let's do it again soon.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, guys.
Mm-hmm. All right. There is Robert Mays on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Lots I want to get into from what he had to say about the A.J. Brown situation. Yeah. But I think what he's talking about there at the end with the identity of this team, I think there's a conversation to be had there. about how the Tennessee Titans further demonstrate what their identity is in the NFL draft this year. Let's do that on the other side. JMart and Ramon, powered by all 4 seasons, right here at 104.5 The Zone.
Spring weather in the South can get a little, let's call it, complicated. One day it can be warm or even hot, and you need to turn on the air conditioning. But at night, it can get chilly, and you need a little bit of heat to keep your house comfortable and warm at night. And at Ramon Foston, I have the heating and cooling company that can take care of all of your HVAC needs, and it is Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They have over 20 years of experience serving all of southern Middle Tennessee. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is a family-owned and operated company that prides itself on outstanding customer service. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling offers cost-effective solutions such as free service calls for a repair and free estimates on replacement systems. They also back their work with 10 years parts and labor warranties and up to 72 months of no interest on new installs. So be ready for this crazy spring or the hot summer or anything that may come your way by getting the best indoor air quality thanks to Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They have 2 locations to serve you in Columbia and Lyles, and available anytime at springhillac.com. So for all of your HVAC needs, go talk to the people I know, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
JMart and Ramon, powered by all four seasons on 104.5 The Zone. I feel like this is a ballet song. Oh, now it doesn't. A hype ballet song.
Didn't once the beat drop.
A trap ballet.
Shiesty.
A trallet.
Come on,
Will
Shiesty.
Bowling, Ramon Foster with you. Jonathan Schaefer.
That's your new nickname.
Spinning the music.
Will Shiesty. Listen at it.
There it is.
Will Shiesty.
Will is kind of shiesty.
He is kind of shiesty.
Thanks, question mark. Rhett Bryan coming up in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Math is hard to talk Titans with us. We'll give him the chance to react to a lot of the conversation we've been having today, the phone calls we've received about the lack of Ryan Tannehill at
Just call him 17.
voluntary workouts. Wow. That tough, huh?
I ain't tough on him. I'm just trying to save people the nightmare of hearing it over and over.
I think he ends up being here for voluntary workouts.
We don't have to at this point.
I know.
Like y'all
I
bullied
mean, the
him.
head coach wasn't there for the first day either.
He's probably out on. Well, he's got a reason. He's probably seeing like athletes and stuff, and
Right.
just trying to figure it out. Maybe his kid had the spring game. We don't know that.
So Robert Mays said something interesting there at the end of our conversation with him. And if you missed that, hit the podcast after the show to listen to it, because he had some really good stuff to say about the identity of where the Titans are and trying to add layers to the foundation that they have. And Ramon, when I think of the foundation of who Mike Vrabel and John Robinson are and what they are trying to build in Tennessee, it further reinforces the idea that they're drafting offensive line in the first round.
Yeah, for sure.
They want a backbone of that team.
They have to have it, because in order to keep this team sustained at the level that they are right now, the balance has to be there. Unless you have an all-world guy like Joe Burrow has kind of proved, the O-line is very important. And one way to get your superstar guys, which May said, he picked him number 4 overall in his draft that he had.
Pretty good.
That's pretty high praise for a guy who's a national guy that writes for The Athletic, that does a lot of national work. For him to give AJ that type of respect is huge. And in order to get him the ball, one, you better have a competent quarterback. You ain't got to have a good one, because AJ is going to catch it. But you need somebody to protect him. The stat that you threw out earlier is when AJ was out, he was sacked how many times?
14.
14 in the 4 games he was out.
14 times Ryan Tannehill was sacked in the 4 games A.J. Brown did not play last year.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting, man. So it was a lot of good conversation to be had behind what May said. And I'm glad he really said, it's comical, and the conversations we're having behind AJ. But what's the best way for you to get this done? It's to do it now and as soon as possible. Like, it'd be idiotic to toy with this for so long.
Right.
Unless we're really talking about the very, very, very small details of what his pay is going to be. It's silly and stupid not to pay the kid. Pay the man.
And
at
after
that position also, that position, give it.
And sooner rather than later, we're going to be saying the exact same thing about Jeffrey Simmons. The exact same thing.
One at a time.
And they got a year to wait on that one, because he's got a 5th-year option as a first-round pick, obviously. But we're just get ready to be doing all this again in a year. Just at a little bit of a different position.
Don't bring this. We can only handle one at a time, William.
This is how we weed out the people that actually think A.J. Brown's tweets means he's going to the New York Jets. We weed those people out by preparing them now.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to know what I hear when I read A.J. Brown's tweets?
He's 24. Why do we care?
You know what I hear when you talk? But that's because you're 24.
You sound like every girl I've ever dated.
The lies you tell.
Season of lies.
You got open cases out here with girls you're dating.
Open cases.
Open cases. That's not a good use of terms. You might want to rephrase that one.
Not a casket. Like, what are we doing?
That's not good in today's culture to use that term. What are you doing, man?
My bad.
You just went on. That's what you did to him.
My bad. Well, You got
Ramon, I have a family, man. Come on, man. That's what we doing.
You have prospects out there.
Prospects?
Man.
Yeah.
With the first pick.
Mr. Bowling's driving around wondering, what's my son not telling me? Has he got legal issues going on? What's happening?
Will Shiesty Will Shiesty has shown up to the show today. My bad.
I was more, I mean, again, this is because I got more than 4 hours of sleep last night.
Hey.
More awake and ready to go today.
You know what
Why didn't you go to bed last night? I don't remember.
Why didn't I go to bed last night?
Yeah.
This was 2 nights ago.
Two
when I
nights
was watching the Freddie Freeman's first game against the Braves. Last night it's because the Braves had a perfect game through 5.
See?
So that prolonged my.
Now people were mad at what's his name from the Dodgers. What if that had happened again? Huh?
For the Dodgers?
Pitcher. Yeah.
Kenley Jansen?
No, not Kenley Jansen.
Because he struck out Freddie Freeman last night to
Clayton
end
Kershaw.
Clayton Kershaw.
In the game.
Yeah, see?
That was crazy.
There
There hadn't been a perfect game in Major League Baseball in 10 years. And there was 3 in 1 year the last time it happened.
It was 09?
2012.
12.
10 years. It's
Over
math.
10.
It's hard.
Well, tell you what else isn't. Never mind.
You got open math cases you're yet to close.
Phrasing?
I'll grow up around here.
You are?
I'm telling you.
Speaking of season of lies, Ramon always says, I'm going to grow up. No, you're not. Why do you even say it?
I say it because I got kicked out of my group chat.
Yeah. Ramon got kicked out of the UT recruiting class group chat.
Wait, I didn't hear about this.
I got kicked out of my UT recruiting class group chat while I was still at UT. True story.
Our class 2004 has a group chat we've been having for a couple of years now, just to stay together. And everybody trolls. I'm trolling them in the group chat when we're on breaks.
You a troll?
And Rob Ayers kicked me out because I told him he don't read. But that's because
Black Rob just finished you off as well.
he did. But that's because he wanted Arian Foster to give him a summary of a study he read. I'm like, Rob, no, you're just bored right now. You want him to give you a basically cliff notes of a study that you should be reading also.
Asking Arian Foster to recite to you a study is like asking JMart to like read you one of his movie reviews.
Yeah, for
like,
real.
I'll just go read it. We don't need to sit here for an hour. I'm kidding.
So what's Jay catching us straight
I'm
for?
kidding. No,
the guy's in a walking boot, limping around a convention center in Louisville.
He started it.
Oh,
he started it.
Oh, that was
Stop it.
606. What was the timestamp you wrote? 608.
It was 607, I think.
Will Shiesty. There he is. Hey, Papa Bowling. Your kid's name is Will Shiesty now. Listen at that laugh. They'll let you.
Hey, 4 fingers in the air. 4's up. If you're driving around Nashville, Tennessee, let's keep 2 hands on the wheel for a moment. If you're at a red light,
well, you can have your hand on the wheel and still put
if you're stuck in traffic,
Tesla.
if you just I don't have that kind of
humble.
I don't have the facilities for that. If you just hit a pothole,
you don't have the funds for that.
If you just facilities, yeah. If you just hit a pothole and you're on the side of the road, you're allowed to put 4's up. 4's up. Fourth quarter of the show. Coming up next, Rhett Bryan joins us. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
9:02, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. 2 important points for the Nashville Predators last night as they defeated the Calgary Flames 3-2 in a shootout at Bridgestone Arena. With those 2 points and 5 games remaining left in the regular season, Nashville currently in possession of the first wild card slot in the Western Conference, 2 points ahead of Dallas. Matt Duchene made history, scoring his 40th goal of the season and becoming the first player in franchise history to score 40 in a campaign. Philip Forsberg could become the second to do it. He's on 39 for the year. NBA playoffs, Memphis just whacked the Timberwolves 124-96. Ja Morant, 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 10 assists. Braves defeated the Dodgers 3-1 at Chavez Ravine. The Braves had 12 hits, Dodgers just 2. Walker Buehler took the loss for L.A. The Tennessee Vols are adding 4-star outside linebacker Caleb Herring, the 8th commitment from the 2023 class, number 1 recruit in the state, the Riverdale product, the younger brother of 2022 signee, linebacker Elijah Herring. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5, The Zone.
It's the beginning of the fourth quarter, hour number 4, off and running. 4's up around Nashville, Tennessee. JMart and Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here in Nashville. And the party is growing. It doesn't stop. It's growing. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Will Bowling with you, joined by Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio. Good morning, Rhett.
Good morning. Out here. Good morning, Rhett B.
Bringing the energy.
It's draft 30, boys.
That's right.
Always is now.
You can talk AJ or Ryan Tannehill or offseason or whatever. It is draft 30.
That's right.
I thought you was about to go a different route, Rhett.
Okay.
I thought you was going to say draft bleeping season, baby.
Well, I mean,
but we are.
You just did, so there it is.
We're Family Network, Rhett. I thought we was going down.
Family
I was
show.
like, crank me up then, Rhett B.
When have we ever been concerned that this is a family show?
When
Thank
CG
you.
was
That's
in
right.
here.
That's right.
When Jason's daughter was in here, and that was about the minutes that this was a family show.
Oh, it was a
yeah,
family
I'm-
show for an hour and a half.
I am hip deep, at least in draft final production. Ramon here is going to join us for both nights of our coverage.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
A week from tomorrow night, 6 o'clock right here on The Zone, and giving you an hour of pre-draft stuff with lots of interviews and views, and then gavel-to-gavel, pick-by-pick coverage throughout round 1.
Yeah.
And then on Friday night, we'll be on the air again here at 6 o'clock on The Zone, and gavel-to-gavel coverage of rounds 2 and 3.
I like it.
Let's do it, Rhett B. Man,
What's your favorite stage of the draft season? Like, is it watching the original film? Is it like potting the groups of players? Like, what part of this process do you enjoy the most?
At this point, I think I'm not physically ready. This is production. This is, stack the bales of hay in the barn week and get everything finished and ready to go. But I'm just about to the point where I'm like, okay, let's go do the show.
Yeah. I think I'm in the same spot as you right now.
and believe me, I love all the process, but it's like, okay, I've been working on this for a while. I'm ready to let's have this baby. Let's do this.
No pun intended.
No pun
Shout out
intended.
to Amy Wells. With that being said, though, like I'm with you now that I'm on the consumer side of it, and I'm not actually in it, Rhett.
Yep.
I can understand why you're at the point where you're double dutching. You just ready to jump in between the ropes, man, and get going because all the information you ingest, all of the mocks, all of the scenarios, this pick, this team, that team, what trade, you know what I'm saying? And now we actually get to, okay, you find out again in the how many consecutive years the NFL's been alive. Well, since Mel Kiper's been doing it. You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. Nobody knows who's going to pick anybody.
That's right. Well, but you framed it perfectly, Ramon, because we've been through the playoffs and Super Bowl over.
Oh.
Senior Bowl done. Combine done.
Pro days.
Top 30 visits and pro days are wrapping up as we speak. pro days are done, basically. But top 30 visits are wrapping up as we speak. And that's why the chatter that we see and what we're talking about with who's taking whatever off their social media platform and why isn't someone at, first day of off-season program, it's because it's very quiet.
Yeah.
Everybody's focused on their war room. They're focused with their scouting departments and their assistant coaches, and they're preparing their final boards in their war room and getting ready for the draft next week.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, too, man, is when we get the answers. And there's nothing more exciting, though. I say this now. In the years past, when the draft came around, it'd definitely be a deeper conversation on Titans Radio for the draft coverage, though, right? You like that little tease right there.
I like that a lot.
Radio professional over here.
But as a guy that's in it, and you're either gotten older, let's say you think you personally had a rocky year, you know what I'm saying? And the draft's coming around, and what does that mean? Availability to come pick your friggin' replacement.
You felt the heat breathing down your neck.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the
it's just like looking in that passenger or driver's side mirror that says objects in mirror are closer than they appear.
Yeah. And that's what I'm gonna be real with you. I used to hate the draft.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I can understand his and Ron Slay's perspective from both sports because they were let down in that process.
Right.
It did not happen.
Right.
Their name was not called. And I can't imagine what that's like going through when you've put in the effort and the time and the work to be able to do that. And then it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I can't, So you hating the draft? Totally get that part of it from my perspective. I didn't walk in your shoes, but I can understand where you're coming from.
I'm talking about until I got secure, meaning the second contract for sure.
Vested veteran.
Sure.
Yeah.
Family was good and stuff like that. I was just like, God, get this over with. Don't pick a guard. And everyone that they pick, and they picked some too, especially in my earlier years where Andre, you got to look at the scenario. I'm expendable. Or I'm either very valuable because I'm cheap. I didn't know one or the other, though. So I'm thinking if they go get a 4th-round draft pick, which they did, if they go get a 3rd-round draft pick, which they did, and then even going into my contract year, they drafted the 1st-rounder at the position that I was playing at, Rhett. And you know how the mind, it'll take you down some loops, and it can either harden you or break you, And DeCastro came in, and I just looked at it like what I said earlier, hey, let's take this on. I don't know where it's going to lead me, whether I'm on this team or somewhere else. But I got nothing to do but just go through this and battle it out, and I ended up being the guy they picked. Lo and behold, though, somebody did tear their Achilles out too.
Ooh.
And my best thing was availability, Rhett.
Sure.
You feel me?
It's the most valuable asset you got.
They kept me and cut the other guy the next year, and I was just like, whew. Sorry.
Dodge that stray. Dodge that one.
And that's the maneuvering of the NFL in general. So now we're at this point of the season. There's going to be some guys that that probably like, I ain't watching that bull crap. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's just somebody vying for my position. And especially the guys that's probably in the lower 15 of the team. And I say that respectfully because you're still on the 53. And by lower 15, I mean either undrafted guys that didn't play a whole lot the year before and a lot of the special team guys.
Sure.
Because a 7th-round pick that probably is a little bit better pedigree and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to go get him. Your salary went up. His went down.
And your old team is going to follow that track, I do believe, in this draft because, yes, we know Ben Roethlisberger is retired. We know they picked up Mitch Trubisky, who's clearly going to be a bridge. Now, I'm not saying they're going to take a quarterback at 20. They could if they want. But offensive line, and they've done some things. They extended a couple of your guys.
They did sign some free agents, which is rare.
But they still need some help there.
Yeah, they do.
Offense is where this thing. Now, there's certainly some things they need on the defensive side of the ball, but offense is where they'll concentrate in this draft. I feel like
for sure. I'm with you with that too. And honestly, that's where we probably gonna lean with the Titans, right? That front 4. It's so many different avenues you can go with this team. That's what's so good about it. Because truth be told, it's This is a very filled up roster as far as the first 22. And I say first 22, offense and defense, but it's probably really 17. You know what I'm saying? Like Bobby Tree's got to get into it. We got to figure out what Dylan Radin's going to fit in and whether he's at right tackle or left guard.
Well, let's just look at it from this way, Ramon. Let's look at it from the Titans defense. Your defensive coordinator is returning and 11 of your 12 starters.
Beautiful. Beautiful,
So
Rhett.
what a great problem to have there.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and while I still say I think they'll take a cornerback in this draft,
Somewhere, yeah.
they could see a safety or a linebacker. I don't pretend to know, but some of those things you're going to, because 3-4 defenses chew up those things.
Yep.
So, but you feel like you're in better shape than you have been there in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you go back to I look at the tight end position, the offensive line,
another wide receiver.
You
can't have enough.
Maybe getting a viable backup at running back.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they like the Wilkins kid, the former Colt. I know they like him.
Yeah.
But, I think you're right. I think it's offense that you're looking at in this thing because the nucleus and more is there to keep competing. You just need those extra pieces to get you over the top.
So, comment from Ron real quick. Did you see it?
Go for it.
He said he's only watched 2 NBA drafts since he's been out of the game.
See?
Wow.
And I don't blame Ron one bit whatsoever. Not watching that chump fest.
Yeah.
Changing hats. You get
Half of them get traded that
I was going to say
day.
that one is like, I put on the Timberwolves hat. At the end of the night, I'm wearing a Lakers hat. So there's
it's
come on, man.
John Calipari sitting there front and center with more hair grease than everybody
I
else.
don't want John Calipari sitting anywhere near me.
Him and his lifetime contract. Coming up, I want to ask you about a couple of offensive linemen and guys that the Titans continue to be more strongly linked to, including one tackle that I think is a little bit of a newer conversation piece for the Titans in the first round.
Okay.
And I want to ask you about, I think, the one Tennessee player in the draft that would be the best fit for the Tennessee Titans. And I don't think it's who people are going to think that it is.
Okay.
That I want to ask you about. We'll do that. More with Rhett Bryan coming up. It is JMart and Ramon, powered by all 4 seasons, right here on 104.5 The Zone. JMart and Ramon, powered by all 4 seasons here at 104.5 The Zone. That one caught me off guard a little bit. There's a small child in my headphones. Yeah. Ramon Foster, Rhett Bryan, Will
Got that
Bowling
every time
with
you're
you.
on the show.
Wow. All right. Appreciate you. Pew, pew. What time should I not show up again in the morning?
I choose violence.
You think that's a threat?
Easy there, Seabiscuit.
We were born in this, Will.
We really adopted the darkness. I was born in it. It's one of my better impressions.
Bane.
See,
by the way,
it's better into a microphone.
So
I'll be here even if you're not, man.
I'm glad.
Joe Hunk was born with the mohawk. He didn't adopt the mohawk. He was born with that poor guy. I got him.
I'm glad.
I got him.
Okay, listen. I'm glad that you did the Bane impression because, first of all, people are gonna laugh at me, but I'm old and I'm watching this. But I'm watching the Batman on HBO Max.
You watched it?
And I'm watching it in installments because I'm getting tired. It's not because the film isn't great, but I'm over 2 hours in, and I'm like, oh boy, that's something else right there.
It is so good.
I mean,
And for 3 hours, you're just hearing
Ramon's still in pieces over there. He was born.
Do the Joe Hunk Mohawk one more time.
You mean junk?
you adopted the mohawk. I was born in it. Oh gosh.
Oh my.
I was born in it.
So basically, if you haven't watched the Batman, here's a synopsis of the Batman. It's just underneath the bridge. The entire movie is just one song being played.
Kurt Cobain.
So basically, it's just a 3-hour Nirvana video from 1993.
It's more than that.
Well, tonally, that's what it is.
It's very dark, but it's
it's so
that's
good.
what it's supposed to be. That's what the comic
It is
books were.
so good. And I'm not a DC guy. I'm very brand loyal to a fault.
You're a Marvel person.
And I'm a Marvel person.
I get it.
But this DC movie is like the cinematography of it. Now I sound like Jay.
It was born. The cinematography was born.
Michael in the chat, Will doing Sean Connery doing Bane.
That's
It's kind of true.
I'll allow it.
Shaken, not stirred.
So I'm either
Suck
like
it, Trebek.
Rhett is the master of imitations in this building, and that's that. There's no arguing that.
I don't know about that, man.
Bro.
Now, your Joe Hunk is kind of Macho Man.
So
It kind of is.
you forget
Ooh,
though.
yeah.
You forget who the original Joe Hunk impression was.
Right, and then I did it better than you.
Joe Hunkapiller, yeah.
Last night, the Atlanta Braves beat the Dodgers 3-1.
I can't keep picking on the
Kenley
guy.
But
Schaefer's
Schaefer's Joe
He's
Hunk.
the nicest guy in the building.
Schaefer's Joe
he's
Hunk,
such a
though.
good
I'm
dude.
telling you, there's some Macho Man in there. It's like, ooh, yeah. I'm going to do
Only
an
when I
update
say
on the
man at
zone.
the end. There's a little bit at the end, man.
It's the man.
And here's the thing. He doesn't
tell you what.
Always
And
rises
what's
to
funny
the top.
is that he actually doesn't talk like that in terms of putting the word man at the end of everything. But now,
You're
feel
a
like
character of
you've
the
got-
character. Yes.
You've got like Macho Man
caricature.
meets John Gruden, and that creates Joe Hunk.
no, because I'm not a racist.
Okay.
But I'm not a rapper. All right, 615-737.
I have a very particular set of skills.
My favorite one is the Forrest Gump one that you do for Buck's show.
It varies. The one that always gets Ron Slay is the Scooby Doo one.
That's the
one that
best.
just-
That's the
He goes,
best.
"Dude, I
one.
didn't even realize. I mean, he goes,
It's the
I had-
Ruckus part of
It's
it. that
Yeah.
That's it. And the laugh, the Scooby laugh. Thank you very much.
I've got like 5 impressions. Like Rhett can do like 20 impressions and they're all golden. I've got like 3. Yeah. And I know the 3 that I have really well, but that's about all I got.
Has Charles Davis entered the chat yet today?
Okay. And I tell you what. Okay, Tennessee Titans. Okay, Ryan Tannehill's going to be fine. Okay. Hey, you've got Mike Vrabel, Todd Downing. You're bringing in Tim Kelly. Okay. Fox or
Charles Davis and Scooby Doo do a game together.
Madden NFL football, okay? Forget Brandon Gaudin. You know, we're just going to do Scooby Doo with Charles Davis on color commentary. for the next Madden game.
Poor Ryan Eagle hears that impression and goes,
I'm high.
Yeah, exactly.
The listeners, it's either this. We talking about Ryan Tannehill. What do you want?
Yeah, right.
What do you want from us? Okay.
All right, who did you?
I'm not going down for this.
You had a tease before the break that
You
said
radio
you got
professionals
some
here.
offensive linemen.
I got 2
and then a
offensive linemen.
Vol that you think can help the Titans
That's
immediately, but not a likely. It's not the one you would point to normally.
you're going to say
So-
Bayless Jones.
I'm not going to say Velus Jones.
Oh.
I think
See, that's why. As soon as he said that, I'm like, it ain't Velus Jones.
So that's the one that people are going to
Alante.
typically
You're going with Alante
say.
Taylor.
I'm going with Alante
Yeah.
Taylor. The 4.3640. And I think Alante Taylor's ability now to work out at safety and work out in the nickel at these draft visits that we're hearing about him makes him, A, the dime package option on third downs and fill the Dane Crookshank role, and be the tight end guy if he needed to be here. But I think that the versatility of where he can go and his ability to cover if Caleb Farley isn't back right away on the outside if you needed him to, play on the inside.
multiplicity is what you're talking about.
I think the multiplicity makes Alante Taylor the best fit as a Vol that could be drafted to the Tennessee Titans.
So we're keeping. Sorry to undercut you real quick.
No,
Brad.
you're
So we're keeping Elijah Molden in the inside nickel slot. Is what I'm asking.
I think
if that's
so.
the case. Okay, all right, I'm fine, and that's okay too because the way these offenses and this team is going to see, we're going to see some crazy teams, good teams at that too this year.
Yep.
And the ability to put 6 DBs out there is going to be very important for this team. Like you don't want to mix match by having a linebacker out there. And let's be real, Zach is solid, Cunningham, but Money's coming back from an injury. And besides those two, as far as coverage goes, you can put Zach in the middle, let him do his thing. But to put that dollar is what we used to call it, that dollar defense out there, where you got multiple DBs, 6+ DBs out there. That's one way to stop the air raid if you're efficient in it.
See, I think Elijah is ideally a slot corner because I worry about his size a little bit against guys on the outside.
For sure, got you. Okay, well,
Even though he's physical,
But I can
and
see
you
what
know
you're
he'll
saying
play.
about Alante Taylor,
Yeah.
and depending on where that pick is, where he's drafted, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that.
Yep.
Because Velus Jones is the one until you said it's not who you think it is. Because Velus Jones is somebody I think can help him immediately, but just because of what he can do in the return game,
Right.
And he'll play special teams and the whole. And you're talking about a guy with some speed. Whoo-hoo.
Yeah.
And now the only downside to him is he'll be 25 his rookie year, and you're going to see a lot of that because of 6th and 7th years of eligibility that were cashed in because of pandemic and the like.
I think it's that, and I think it's only having one season over 280 receiving yards. In 2021, he had an 807-yard season with 7 touchdowns. I think where he's going to be picked in the NFL draft, you've got the Jalen Tolberts of the world sitting there, who have been number 1 receivers and been matched
Khalil
up against
Shakir,
number 1
Boise
corners.
State, that kind of thing.
The Watson kid, North
Christian
Dakota State.
Watson, North Dakota State.
You've got guys that have been number 1 receivers year in and year out and have been matched up against every team's best corner for more than 1 year. Velus Jones never had that in his entire career. Top corners are going against Cedric Tillman for Tennessee. That's the concern for me is, and granted, Velus Jones is not going to be against a best corner in the NFL either, but I worry about his ability to produce what he did in 2021 year in and year out and the lack of production over the course of his entire career.
I mean, I can understand that, but there are going to be a lot of guys drafted that are 1-year wonders.
Sure.
Kenny Pickett's one of them.
Yep.
That's true.
Let's be real. Yeah.
And that at the most coveted position in the draft every year.
I've seen linemen get this too.
Sure.
Mark Sanchez was one of those players.
Yeah.
It was basically a 1-year one.
Yes.
Mitch Trubisky was one.
Mm-hmm.
So, because Trubisky
Sam
had
Howell's
just a
gonna be
handful
one.
of starts. That's right.
Yep,
Along those
100%.
same lines, this is the time of year where everyone
hold on.
starts.
Was Joe Burrow one? Did we know he had the talent, but was he one? Because he had one
He was
phenomenal year.
like the
he's
wonder.
like the outlier next level up 1-year wonder.
But he didn't play at Ohio State.
That's right.
Yeah, so we're speaking of 1-year wonders. Like, I've just been completely transparent.
And Velus Jones, he probably didn't get a chance to play a whole lot of SC behind that logjam of talent.
Right. So I mean, Rob, my homeboy Rob Ayers is another like that crushed it. Man, he played well, but he had a huge senior year. Mayo was another one, got super hot.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Gerard Mayo's another got super hot his junior year and dipped. I mean, top 10 pick. So it's not far-fetched. I think when coaches evaluate it and scouts evaluate, they probably say more of that. If I pull him, sorry to say this, but I pull him out of class, I give him a book, a playbook, I get him focused on his position, I can get that probably for 8+ years. And it don't go right every single time.
Sure.
But that was the beauty of what I've always seen people drafting 20-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's 20. He won't be 21 during the season. Well, guess what? He's still a sponge. If he can be that productive that soon at a young age and I can make him a pro and surround him by older pros, we got something. Mm-hmm. Now, again, it's hit or miss, but that's the mindset of the one-year guys, Will, when it comes down to it.
So the offensive line prospects.
Yes.
Let's talk about Tyler Smith.
Tulsa.
6'5", 324 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Smith is, if John Robinson wanted another crack at the Isaiah Wilson kind of tackle on the field. Well, I won't get into the off the field part of that conversation because
I don't think Tyler Smith is that kind of dude off the field. I think he's the opposite.
But
long dude too. You're talking massive hands at nearly 11 inches and 34-inch arms, a nearly 84-inch wingspan. Dude is long.
He has got all the intangibles, the size, the traits that you want. A little bit more of a raw prospect, perhaps.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think, Rhett, this comes down to where do the Titans see Dylan Radins fitting in? Because if Dylan Radins fits in at left guard, Tyler Smith might be the pick at that point. Because the amount of tackles that you could take that can be starting quality at 26, there aren't a ton of guys that are still going to be there at that point. But a guy that's versatile that you could move around if you wanted to, and another guy in Smith that you could move to guard potentially.
Well, it all depends on. You're right about what they think with Dylan Radins, and the only thing we've heard publicly is, Mike Vrabel said several weeks ago that they were going to look at him at right tackle. So I mean, we'll see what happens. He's
going to get a shot to start.
They're going to parse through all this stuff. But the thing is, there are guys that can help you at 26 if you're going offensive line. Mm-hmm. Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa. I don't know if he'll be there or not, but that would be another one where you could go tackle there.
Yeah, Penning's pretty high up.
But yeah, I mean, there's some good help in this draft.
I think it's interesting hearing earlier on in the show, we had Duke Manyweather on of OL Masterminds, who basically said that Zion Johnson, the comp that he had for him is Roger Saffold.
Mm-hmm.
And that if Zion Johnson is there at number 26, that's I think the pick I'm making at this point for the Titans. Is he going to be there at 26, Rhett?
I think that's pushing it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pushing it. He's first guard off, in my opinion.
Okay.
The guy that you want at that position is Kenyon Green.
Because Tyler Linderbaum would be picked much earlier if he wasn't just center and scheme specific.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, you're going to have – that's the other thing is you're going to see some guards taken.
Yeah.
In higher spots than they've been because there's some good ones there.
To me, and I'm hearing
Kenyon Green's another one from Texas A&M.
That's what I was saying. Kenyon Green, him. So that's him. And me and Rhett, I was texting him about it the other day. A couple of guys I had on my list, and one in particular. To me, I think Dylan probably is going to be better suited as a guard. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to say that I think he would be. Now, again, the competition is going to settle itself when it comes down to it. A couple guys for me that really kind of fit the bill of what the Titans are doing. And Rhett, I don't know how you feel about this guy because he's such a big guy, but he moves very doggone well, man. Is Daniel Faalele from Minnesota, the real big dude. If you've watched some football, you've seen people talk about his size. He's a primary right tackle. Thing is, he's a wall. I think when it comes down to running some zone scheme, he can do it. I think if you fitted it within his box, he can make it happen. And the only reason I mention him because he's right tackle specific. And that's where, okay, if we're going to pick a position to where you need to shore it up, I think getting him who at least can size people into blocking them. And this is what, Rhett, Will, listeners, Tennessee has been known to be a run-first offense. So why not go get a guy that's been really good in the Big Ten and running the ball too? And the other dude I asked you about too, out of Washington State, redshirt senior Abraham Lucas, very good athlete. They have him slated around that range. Now again, this is the other part of it too. He can honestly slip to about a third round pick.
Yeah, that's the thing. In both of the guys you just mentioned,
they can slip.
If John Robinson has a partner, he could trade out of 26 and get them on night 2.
And so
either one of those guys, I think.
Yes, 100%. I'd almost like Abraham Lucas a little bit more because of this. Like I mentioned it being a run first team, but they also pull and play guys too, pull and pin guys. And Abraham Lucas ran a 4.9 too. His film looks good, got great balance, great anchor at the right tackle position, and he's a primary right tackle too. The other part is small technique issues, I think, is what you got to fix with him. He's been a dude, man, that kind of, you look at his set, he gives up a good bit of ground. That's one thing he would have to fix, especially with some of the defense that he could potentially see this year if they chose him in the 3rd round. And I know we're looking at like starters coming out of the 1st, but as far as like the pedigree of it, I say 1 through 4 can be day 1 starters in this league, or you can groom them into being, hey, eventually you're going to take over this position. Mm-hmm. And I think looking at Abraham Lucas, he struck me really like, and specifically looking at his film, right? I like this kid. Only knock is this. We in the South hadn't seen him because we don't get many Pac-12 games.
And they all start at 9 o'clock.
Yeah. You hadn't seen him or heard of him, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and here's the other thing. While I'm just thinking about all this as we're discussing it. You know, the philosophy on this draft may be a little different from others just because you have a lot of the pieces of right now, and they're playing for right now.
Yeah, they are.
You know, they know they missed a window in 2021 and an opportunity there, but they have the core plus some. Mm-hmm. Like I said, 11 of the 12 starters on defense, mm-hmm. or 10 of 11 starters on defense, and the coordinator.
Right, we good.
But yeah, I think that's going to tell us some of where we're going in this thing.
Yeah.
Because you need dudes to help you now, and obviously there'll be some in here that will be a little more developmental later on that you bring along. But anyway,
I like it. Well, that flew by. That's quick. That's all we got. Rhett, thank you. Looking forward to a fun week next week, and enjoy the final steps of the long, arduous process. Going to be fun.
It will be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing that with all of our crew and certainly with Ramon Foster next week, and we'll be ready to bring you the coverage.
Yes, indeed. What's your name? Ramon.
That's bad guy.
A bad guy.
Coming up next, not a bad guy, a motivational guy. The best guy, Inky Johnson. A little bit of midweek motivation for you. Plus, Inky would love to hear this. Ramon loves to hear this. Little headline on the way out. Josh Heupel picking up a big-time piece from the Mid-State. We'll get to that. Finish off the show when we come back. JMart and Ramon, powered by all 4 seasons on 104.5 The Zone.
I choose violence.
Imagine, all right, as I clear my throat real quick, all right, if the first way we did things was the only way and it just stayed that way for what felt like forever. That's what happens when it comes to selling your home. You got to list your house and you got to keep it show ready because you never know when somebody want to come by for what they call a quick look, or you got dozens of people marching through your home that may or may not be serious about it, and most of the time they just really want to see how your house look and compare it to theirs. And this goes on and on and on until the right buyer comes along. Well, that's all changed now thanks to Open Door. And it's Ramon Foster. I want to tell you what I did. I did go to opendoor.com and I put in my address and my home info, and I got an offer back in no time, right to my email. Open Door takes a look at your house along with recent sales in your neighborhood to come up with a very competitive offer, a real offer at that. Listen, there's no listings, no strangers, no stress, and a real competitive offer in minutes. Simply go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer. Open Door is a new way to sell without all the hassles of a traditional home selling. Thing is, you'll know how much you'll get. You can close when you're ready, and you can do everything online. Go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer today. Again, that's opendoor.com/WGFX. And offer eligibility varies. Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc. License 020611130 in California. Open Door Brokerage, LLC, and its other markets.
Final segment of the show, JMart and Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons here on 104.5 The Zone. Back at it again tomorrow morning. I'm here with you for one more day with Big Savagery over here.
Yeah.
We got Inky Johnson coming up here in just a moment for a little bit of motivation for the middle of your week.
Is he on the line yet? Not yet?
Not quite.
Ah, okay. They put me back in the group chat.
I've got good. Ramon, I have to give you an apology here real quick.
Why, man? You don't have to apologize to me.
Tennessee has received a commitment from the top-ranked player in the state for the class of 2023. A player that ranks in the top 10 all-time in-state recruits in Tennessee football history.
I know where it's going.
So I apologize that there's this guy's ranked ahead of you.
You know what, Will? I ain't tripping because I've already done what he's wanting to do soon, man. You see, I'm going to spin it every time, Will.
Caleb Herring from Riverdale High School, who joins the Buck Rising show today at 10:45.
We saw him play this year, too.
That's right. We did.
We saw him play this guy, poor guy. Man, no, for real. Like, seriously, shout out to him, man. I remember when I committed the media bliss that I got, even back in 2003, just how that was fun. And now it's even more fun.
Yep.
Do I say funner? We don't say funner.
More
do we?
fun.
More fun.
I believe.
Yeah, I knew that was the case. I just wanted to reassure. But it's fun. It's exciting. And treasure every moment of it because, again, when you step on campus, Will, you know this.
Yeah.
Everything gets real then.
It does.
You know, so.
Bit of a culture shock.
Man, dude, enjoy this. And I love this. Love. When our in-state guys choose UT. And I know sometimes it just don't work out like that way. You know, work out that way. And folks are just all about it. But I met some of my best friends in this world to this day at the University of Tennessee. They were in my weddings. I was in their weddings. And just the friendships and bonds. Like I said, I don't care if I get kicked out of a group chat. Guess what? They're going to put me right back in because that's what family does. And for Tennessee guys that choose UT, I'm not soliciting anything, but there's benefit to it.
Oh, I know that feeling of getting kicked out of a group chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yesterday when we were in a group chat and every one of your texts was sending twice because of the audacity that you have to not have an iPhone and the green text that you have.
I hate it here.
I hate it here now. I hope you hear the vitriol in my voice.
Come on, Shay.
No, baby.
Caleb Herring, though, the number 1 junior from the state of Tennessee, the number
beautiful.
50 prospect in the country, the number 6 edge rusher in the 2023 class, and you will hear him today in 1 hour.
Yeah.
Shout
Shout out to Buck, man. He always put a hot light on the high school kids, even
That's right.
the twins that committed to Kentucky, man.
Destiny Keaton Wade.
I hated hearing it because they're from the state, but Buck, that's some cool stuff, man. Keep pushing that.
And Caleb Herring ranked the number 8 player ever from the state of Tennessee, according to 247 Sports, to ever commit to Tennessee.
You know what
that's
happened?
pretty good.
I was like number 10 or 7 in my 2004 group.
Uh-huh.
You know who made it to the league?
Yeah.
Wow. Me.
You need a cough drop over there? You're going to be okay?
You know who else?
You going to make it?
Y'all know I'm going to pop my stuff every once in a while.
Okay.
Daddy.
All right. Hey, good stuff today. We are back at it again in the morning. But of course, as we do every single Wednesday here on JMart and Ramon, we finish the week with our guy, Inky Johnson. A little bit of midweek motivation for your Wednesday here. Inky, good morning. Hope you're doing well.
My guys, I'm doing great. And just to set the record straight, Ramon does all the kicking out in the group chat.
There it is.
Like, he kicks people out, you know. Like, he's the gatekeeper.
The truth comes out.
The group chat.
That's why I was
He's definitely the gatekeeper.
I love
That's why I was so appalled that I got kicked out of the group chat. Hey, come on, man. And Rob put IDK by your name like he don't know you. I think he just misspelled your name, which is INK.
I know, right? You know, like I always say, Mon, in life you get what you give, baby. It's just a matter of time before it comes back.
I love it.
Facts,
man. I'm gonna start us off with one, man. It says, you know, just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should do it, right? Just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should do it. One of the most challenging things in life is for an individual to do something the wrong way and get the right result, right? One of the most challenging things in life is for an individual to do something the wrong way but end up getting the right result. And so I'll never forget, man, when I was in high school and I was playing basketball, I had a really good game one Friday night. And I remember scoring like 35 points, right? I had a double-double. I had probably, 15 assists or something like that. Had a really great game. We got the victory. And I remember after the game, dapping people up, and I'm getting ready to walk out of the gym, and my dad came in and he was like, drop your bag, right? And I was like, man, drop my bag? Like, it's time to go home. Like, it's late. Like, no, drop your bag. And I put my bag down. He was like, why when you came down the floor, on the left side of the floor, you had the ball in your right hand, like, why didn't you lay the ball up with your left hand, right? Why did you switch all the way over and lay the ball up with your right hand? I was like, wasn't thinking, man, just in the zone. He's like, nah, you got to think about that. That's important, right? Because when you face better talent and you get down the line when it really counts and you now you got to do it, like, it's really going to matter, and it's going to be people that's going to strategize you. And so if you don't learn to develop that, sooner or later you're going to pay the price for it. And so I was like, yeah, it's probably not that deep. And so I kept doing it, and I didn't work on my weakness. And we got in the playoffs, a game away from the state finals. And we played a team, and they just stood on the right side of me the whole game, right? And they literally made me go left. But because I hadn't worked on my weaknesses and I had done something the wrong way the whole season, and it yielded me the right result, when I got in a moment that it counted and I hadn't worked on it, they shut me down and we ended up losing and we didn't make it to the state, right? One of the most dangerous things for people is to do something the wrong way and get the right result. And so therefore I say, just because you can do it, it doesn't mean that you should do it, right? Work on your weaknesses. Work on doing things the right way. Work on having the right character to show up every single day and not skip, right? Not cut corners, not take shortcuts, because sooner or later, like I said once before, in life, you get what you give. It's just a matter of time before it comes back to see you. Just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should do it. Go be great.